what a night King Wong had last year. He used great defense and a grand slam to lead the Durham Bulls to the Gildan AAA National Championship win over the Memphis Redbirds. Tonight, the Redbirds are looking for redemption in a rare title game rematch on NBCSN. Well, it may be the middle of September, but boy, it sure feels like the middle of the summer. And welcome live to Huntington Park in downtown Columbus, Ohio, for the AAA Baseball National Championship game, sponsored by Gildan. Tonight, it's a one-game winner-take-all showdown. The Memphis Redbirds, the Pacific Coast League champions, and the Durham Bulls, the champions and the Governor's Cup winners from the International League. Hi, hello, and welcome to downtown Columbus, everyone, along with big number 36, Jim Cott, and Jim Callis. I'm George Grand. You know, this is a special time of the year. At any time in baseball, you get to a one-game playoff. That's pretty special. And, Kitty, you've been involved in baseball for 7 decades as a player, a coach, and a broadcaster. So tough to repeat, and Durham and Memphis are repeating. Yeah, it really is tough to repeat. And the nice thing about tonight's game, these games are always fun to do. But the same two teams as last year, and this is actually the third game of a one-game winner-take-all these two teams have played. Durham's won them both, so Stubby Clapp and these Memphis Redbirds, they have a little score to settle. Stubby Clapp in Memphis, Jared Sandberg in Durham. Those are the two managers that'll be showing down. And, you know, Jim Callis, we've known you, of course, MLB Pipeline, MLB.com, and your work with Baseball America. You spend every waking hour dealing with minor league baseball. Who are some of the players we're going to be looking at to play in the majors? Yeah, we're not just going to see two teams playing for a championship. We're going to see a lot of future big leaguers tonight. The best prospect on Memphis would be catcher Andrew Kisner. Offense is what stands out for him. He has a hard contact, makes repeated hard contact. You know, good line drive swing, the power's coming, gets the job done behind the plate, has an accurate arm too. Really the only knock on him is I don't know if Yadier Molina is ever going to stop catching in St. Louis. The best prospect in the entire game would be Austin Meadows for Durham, the outfielder. They got him from the Pirates in midseason in the Chris Archer trade. He had 10 home runs in August. He can hit for average, he has power, he can play anywhere in the outfield, plus runner, four-tool player. The arm's the only thing that's short. He's a potential all-star down the road. Those are two of the best prospects that we'll be seeing. There's a whole lot more to talk about on this night. It's a one-game winner-take-all championship playoff. The Gildan AAA National Championship game on NBCSN. Coming up next, the lineups. Coverage of the 2018 AAA National Championship game is brought to you by Gildan, official national partner of AAA baseball. Gildan, every thread counts. By Jana King, who cleans your office for business around the world. Jana King is the most trusted choice. Learn more at janaking.com. And by Drink Pepsi. Collect points. Get stuff at pepsistuff.com. Welcome back to Huntington Park in downtown Columbus, Ohio. Great crowd on hand. Ken Schnacke and the Columbus Club's done a great job of hosting. Let's check our Gildan starting lineup for the visiting Memphis Redbirds. Tommy Edman, who's been red hot in the postseason, overall 300 hitter for the season, will lead it off. He ignites the offense. Rangel Ravello, Alex Mejia, Randy Arozarena, Lane Thomas, Justin Williams, who started the year in Durham and now ends the year in Memphis, will be your left fielder, your right fielder, and will bat in the number 6 position. Andrew Kisner, Wilfredo Tovar, and Edmundo Sosa will round out the batting order. Let's take a look at Chi Wei Hu, who will be the starting pitcher. Here's his repertoire.
It's a 4-seam fastball, 2-seamer, my 2-seamer fastball, my slider fastball, my slider, and my spike curveball. Also my changeup.
That's tonight's starter for Durham. A contemplative moment at the top of the mound, Jim Cott, and we had a chance to visit with him yesterday. A likable young man, a Taiwanese import to the United States who really can get it up, and he's also learned a pretty good changeup.
Yeah, 5 good pitches, and he's done well so far in the playoffs.
Here's Tommy Edman, speaking of doing well in the playoffs. Over 300. He's hit safely in 8 games in the playoffs. He's been the igniter to this offense. Came out of Stanford University, a San Diego product. Says he learned so much about the game from his mom and his dad, and boy, he plays the game the right way.
Boy, just listening to him talk yesterday, they almost immediately say this guy's a future manager.
1 ball, 1 strike. That's a rocket shot down to first base. Nate Lowe will glove it, and there's your first out of the first inning. Let's check your defensive alignment. Sponsored by Columbia's Gas. Brought to you by Columbia Gas, where saving matters, so does variety. Columbia Gas offers you a variety of energy-efficient products to save you more. McCarthy, Meadows, Refsnyder in the outfield. Snyder, Cronensworth, Kian Wong, who was a star last year, and Lowe at first, and James behind the plate. That is your defensive alignment for this Memphis team. And Memphis, like every Cardinal farm club, Kitty, plays the game the right way. They're a good defensive ball club.
Yeah, they talk about the Cardinal way, and as Stubby Clapp will say, that's merely playing the game the right way. Fundamentals, throw to the right base, act like a big leaguer.
Here's Rangel Ravello, a native of Cuba, but got signed out of high school in Florida, just outside of Miami. He steps in against Chi-Wei Hu. Now, Kitty, we've talked about this all season long. It's a new era, especially in the Tampa Bay organization, where they've gone with relief pitchers to start games all season long. They do the same thing down here a lot of the time. Yeah,
there is no pitching map for Jared Sandberg. I'll get into what a pitching map is.
That's a good swing on a fastball. It's up a little high, plunked into right field, and there's a base hit for Ravello. So 1 out, 1 on, and that'll bring up Alex Mejia. Mejia hitting in the 3rd spot. This has been a Memphis team that, just like Durham, has seen a lot of people come and go. In fact, if you look at the Cardinal lineup on a regular basis at the major league level, there are players in the starting lineup and a whole lot of pitchers that spent a good chunk of the year down here at Memphis.
I believe Stubby Clapp says 62 different players have worn that Memphis Redbird uniform.
Here's Mejia, one of the veteran leaders of this Memphis ball club. That's in the dirt. James blocks it, and holding at first will be Ravello.
George, ironically, with talking about the use of relief pitchers and stringing together a number of relievers, tonight the parent team, their starter Blake Snell is going for his 20th win. As Jared Sandberg said, if we had 5 Blake Snells, we wouldn't be matching up with all these relief pitchers.
1 ball, no strikes to Alex Mejia, 27 years of age. That's hit hard through the hole on the left side into left field, a base hit. Rounding first and taking a big turn will be Mejia as Ravello rounds second and goes all the way to third. So right away, Memphis first and third with a threat here in the 1st inning. Mejia continues what has been pretty good hitting for him in the postseason. And that'll bring Randy Rosarena. Talk about somebody who's had a whale of a week. 2 home runs in the championship game. He had only 5 home runs during the regular season. But Rosarena has really caught fire in the postseason. One of the reasons why Memphis is back here for a 2nd time.
Yeah, sometime the 9th inning happens in the 1st, and that's what it is for Chi-Wei Hu right now. This guy who hit a 3-run homer to help Memphis get to this game in their final game against Fresno.
I saw the numbers on Rosarena. Rosarena only 23 years of age. That's a breaking ball that drops in there for a strike. John Boswick is your home plate umpire. John Bacon is down at first. Blake Felix is your second base umpire, and at third is Alex Tosi. Your umpiring crew, 2 from the PCL, 2 from the International League for this championship game. Long stretch by Hu. Swing and a miss down in the dirt. No balls and 2 strikes.
Yeah, he swung like he wanted to hit a 3-run homer right there. I think that Stubby Clapp would have preferred to see a swing that he would maybe take to right field and at least advance the runner from third and get a run on the board.
Hu, 6 feet, 220 pounds, now 24 years of age. A big long stretch with runners at first and third and 1 out. Double play depth, middle of the infield. That almost hit him a little bit on the inside.
A lot of breaking pitches early on as Chi-Wei Hu showed us his repertoire with the players today called it a spike curve, a knuckle curve, one finger up on the cover of the baseball. But he's used a lot of his secondary pitches here in the first inning. Not many fastballs.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Arozarena. Short lead down at first. Runner bluffs going. It goes all the way to the backstop. Here comes a runner to the plate. It's double dribbled by James. A run will score, and Memphis has taken a 1-0 lead. It's only about 40 feet between home plate and the backstop here at Huntington Park. And very often a ball will come right back to the catcher. It did, and if James gloves it cleanly, Kitty, I think they got him at the plate.
Yeah, I was looking at his glove to see if it went in a different direction, anticipating another pitch. Almost like maybe who crossed him up, but that was so wild high. It almost bounced back to him, and then he bobbled it. Not able to get control of it and make a throw.
So Memphis with an early 1-0 lead. Going to second is Mejia, and fouled off at the plate. So Memphis takes the lead here. A year ago, Memphis had a lead, but then it was Kean Wong's grand slam. He had a 3-for-4 night in the 3rd inning that gave Durham the lead for good. And Durham went on to win the Gildan National Championship game. Short lead down at second for Mejia. Here's your 2-2. Pop back and out of play.
Yeah, we got such a great vantage point here. I put my hand on the fans, too. I mean, the whole ballpark is a little like Fenway Park, where the stands are so close to the playing field, and we could get a foul ball tonight.
It's kind of like the old days.
Yeah.
We're in an open stance here behind home plate.
Try to protect me, please.
That's what you're here for, big guy. Hey, you won 16 Gold Gloves. If you can't catch it, nobody can. Only Greg Maddux more Gold Gloves than the guy sitting next to me. And like Maddux, Kitty, you belong in the Hall of Fame, and I look forward to the day we go to Cooperstown and get to see you inducted.
Well, thank you, George.
Bounced down to third, but foul.
Yeah, and again, another example of how pitchers, scouts look for guys that can throw it in the 90s. And then you're seeing an example tonight when they get AAA or the big leagues, they go to all this breaking stuff. We haven't really seen a good fastball from who yet. It's all those breaking pitches.
His manager, Jared Sandberg, said he didn't know what he would get tonight. He's pitched well twice in the playoffs, but he's had an up and down erratic year. That's drilled down the left field line, curving. It's a fair ball, fair ball. That'll score another run, and Arozarena continues. What a run in the postseason. 2 home runs in the Governor's Cup finals, and now this bullet, a double into the left field corner, gives Memphis an early 2-0 lead.
Well, after all those breaking pitches, this looked like another one, and it was what we call a hanger. Anything thigh high is a hanging breaking ball, and Arozarena had seen enough of them, and he was right on time for that one.
Trotting home is Mejia, and it's 2-0. Well, Memphis off to an early lead, and out goes James to talk to his 24-year-old right-hander.
Yeah, he'd had 2 good starts in his previous 2 starts, and I think my keys to the game tonight, the Huntington keys to the game, we'll take a look at those, and we're seeing evidence of it here in the first inning, the bottom one. Who's going to pitch the best so far, or who has had a difficulty, and who will play with the most intensity? Now, why do I say that? Both these teams played a lot of games. They're happy that the end of the season is coming to a close. They want to win this game. But it's going to be who's really digging in, not worrying about going to the big leagues or worrying about going home. That's going to come out on top.
Keys to the game brought to you by Huntington. Want a bank that believes in looking out for its customers? Well, welcome to Huntington. Huntington Bank. Here's Lane Thomas, the center fielder. Good speed, native of Knoxville, Tennessee. In fact, his manager, Stubby Clapp, also a Tennessee native. Native of Canada, but now lives in the Tennessee area. Good speed in the outfield, and he's been solid on this club, hitting in the 5th spot tonight. And as usually the case, these 2 managers, Stubby, who's in the third base coach's box. He was the manager of the year last year and the manager of the year this year as well in the PCL. His wife Chastity, 3 kids back home, and they look forward to when they can be together with Dad come this coming week. Swing and a pop-up. Will it stay in play? Giving chase is Snyder, and he'll run out of room, as will James. It's always an emotional time, Kitty. I mean, you've been a part of baseball for so long. It's been a long season for these 2 clubs. There's Stubby. I asked him, I said, does Mama like the beard? He said, well, hunting season's coming up, so I got to get ready for it. His dad's here. Stubby Clapp Sr. It was great to see him before the game today. He said, I'm so proud of my son. Good reason to be proud of him. He's a darn good manager.
Yeah, he's had a lot of success here in the Cardinal organization.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Thomas. With a runner on second in scoring position. That's ripped into the hole again. Holding up was Arozarena. He won't be able to score. Had to make sure it went through. Had he been off at the crack of the bat, he probably would have scored. So it's first and third again. And remember, this is a 1-game winner-take-all showdown, so Jared Sandberg can't wait very much longer before he starts to get somebody up.
No, it's not like the Redbirds are blooping balls over the infielder's head. Every one of these have been hit right on the barrel. There's Jared Sandberg, who was the manager of the winning team in this game last year. Rick Knapp, the pitching coach, going to take a slow walk out to the mound to give one of the Bulls relief pitchers a little time to get ready. And a disappointing start for Wu, who done so well in his previous 2.
Looks like got a lefty up in the bullpen, like Colin Poche.
Looks like maybe Kyle Bird.
Yeah, Kyle Bird is loosening. Rick Knapp, been around a long time. Kitty, many years pitching coordinator in the Detroit organization, so well respected for so many years. It's his first year here. Last year, Kyle Snyder was the pitching coach. He's now up at Tampa Bay. Ozzie Timmons was here as the hitting coach. He's now the first base coach at Tampa Bay. So not only have the players moved up, the coaches have moved up to the big club too.
Yeah, and that's nice that guys who have been lifers in one organization finally get a chance to feel what it's like to be part of a big league ball club.
Jared Sandberg follows in the footsteps of some great managers. Bill Evers here for many years, idolized here, and Charlie Montoya. Each won championships here in Durham. Durham's been in the league for 21 years. And in 14 of those years, they've made the postseason. So it's been a very successful franchise. Same thing for Memphis. Memphis, an expansion club in 1998, moved into their new ballpark in 2000. There's Jared Sandberg, the nephew, yes, of Ryan Sandberg. So the name should be familiar for you. Intense manager, 4th year, managing here.
I think it's his Uncle Ryan's birthday today.
Solid family man. Rhino and Margaret, great couple too. I think they just celebrated their 41st or 42nd anniversary. Williams digs in. There goes the runner from first. The throw down to second. Won't be in time. And the runner holds at third. So another runner in scoring position. And that's the way Stubby Clapp has run this club. They steal a lot. They'll hit and run a lot. They won 2 games in the PCL championships. One with a sacrifice bunt. Another with a squeeze bunt in extra innings. So they'll do a lot of little things.
Kind of reminds me of going back to the Whitey Herzog years when I played for the Cardinals. Winning a World Series, we hit 67 home runs as a team, George, but stole 221 bases. And that's kind of the way the Cardinal teams are doing right now. That ball was called a foul tip, so the runner will have to return to first base. Well, let's see.
Maybe interference had to be interference. The count was still 2-1, and if it's interference, the
yeah, he on his backswing interfered with the throw to second with that helicopter backswing. Watch it.
So instead of 1 out, and
You can see how the catcher had to shorten up his throw.
James, I mean, if you follow through, whether it's intentional or unintentional, and you impede the catcher, it is interference.
No question about that call.
So instead of second and third and 1 out, it's now still first and third and 2 away. And here's Kisner. And Jim Callis, you talked about Andrew Kisner in the pregame. This young man has a great potential. He's been mentored and tutored by one of the best catchers of all time in St. Louis, Yadi Molina. What do you look for him to do?
Yeah, I think the offense sticks out the most. I got to see a lot of him in the Arizona Fall League last fall, and he just seemed like he was hitting 3 or 4 line drives every game. He focuses on hitting the ball hard rather than selling out for power. The power is going to come. See some nice numbers there. I think his defense is a little bit underrated. He gets the job done behind the plate. He's got an accurate arm. The problem, like I said in the open, is just Yadier Molina may never leave. And Carson Kelly's a really good catching prospect, too, and he's had trouble finding a spot there.
Lazy fly ball to center field. Memphis will strand a pair, but they score a pair. And the Redbirds have a 2-0 lead as we go to the bottom of 1. Let's take a look at the starting lineups for the Durham Bulls, brought to you by Gildan. Every thread counts. Familiar name at the top of it, Kian Wong, who was the MVP of last year's championship game. Joe McCarthy, Rob Refsnyder, Austin Meadows, who came over from Pittsburgh in the midseason, Nathaniel Lowe, Brandon Snyder, Jake Cronensworth, Jason Coates, and Mac James. That's 1 through 9. They scored more runs than anybody else in the International League. Let's take a look at the pitch repertoire from Kevin Herget, the starter.
4-seam fastball, changeup, cutter, and curveball.
There it is, Kitty, a young man that his manager Stubby Clapp calls him. He's my bulldog.
Yeah, he's a veteran. You know, there's so many players go up and down, and then there's that core of players that stay here all year. And Herget's been here for a while.
Here's Kian, another good solid year at 282 on the season. What a postseason player he was last year and this year as well. Here's your defensive alignment, sponsored by Columbia Gas. Arosarena's in left, Thomas, Williams, the other 2 outfielders, Sosa, Tovar, Edmund, Ravello, Kinzer behind the plate, and Herget out on the mound. Herget out of Keene University, Division III team. And yes, for those of you that haven't followed minor league baseball a lot, Kian Wong is Colton Wong's brother, native of Hawaii. His dad Sam played at the University of Southern California. Outstanding athlete, on the fast track to make it to the major leagues, but people have passed him by this year. He went through a bit of a funk in August when he didn't get called up. They've moved him around, played him at third and the outfield to try to make him more versatile, and you expect him to be in the major leagues before long. Left center field fly ball, long chase, Thomas over, good speed, good glove, and he'll haul it in for the first out. Kitty, you've been there before to watch players. You think you see your teammates go up and people come down and say, when is my time? And sometimes you go through a bump in the road during the season.
Yeah, George, I really think it's a disservice to the player these days that so many guys are going up and down. I would rather see more minor league players stay at one level, hone their craft, get to the big leagues, and stay. And you can understand Kian Wong with we mentioned 62 different players for Memphis. I think Durham maybe had 65 or 66. Guys are going up and down all the time, and that puts a it's an attitude issue.
A rocket shot into right off the bat of Joe McCarthy. Falling down is the right fielder Williams. It's over his head, and McCarthy will have a 2-base hit.
Wow.
That sounded good, didn't it?
Yeah, that ball was smoke. He barely had time to retreat. Barrels it up. Nice short compact swing.
Good effort by Williams, who made a couple of brilliant catches in the postseason playoffs in the PCL, but he couldn't get a glove on this one. So right back comes Durham with a runner in scoring position. McCarthy, by the way, was a Scranton native. And of course, Durham played all 5 of its playoffs games for the Governor's Cup in Scranton-Wilkes-Barre. Because of the storm, Hurricane Florence, they couldn't play in Durham. So they played all 5, and they had to beat Scranton-Wilkes-Barre in their home ballpark, finally winning it in 5 games. Here's Ref Snyder, native of Seoul, South Korea. Again, a solid defender. Again, one of the leaders on this club that is sprinkled with a lot of early 20s. Herget from the stretch. 1 out, runner at second. Jared Sandberg knew that his team would be challenged having to go to Scranton for all 5 games, but he said his team responded.
With everybody back in the Carolinas and, everybody staying safe. But yeah, it definitely changed our schedule. We had to stay in Scranton for 5 games. We lost the home field advantage, but the guys took advantage of our situation.
Sometimes you get closer, Kitty, when you go through something like that. And from what Jared Sandberg and the players on this team said, they sure did.
Yeah, I think kind of puts everything in perspective when they realize what people in the Carolinas were going through.
2 balls, 1 strike to Ref Snyder. Foul back.
Ref Snyder, if there's some Yankee fans watching, that's a familiar name. Rob spent a little time in the big leagues before being traded to Tampa with the Yankees and did well. Some of the opportunities he was given.
Came to the Durham team and to Tampa in a trade back in March. That fastball just misses top end of the strike zone.
Redbirds have to be pleased to play behind a pitcher like Herget. He is eager to get the sign, throw the ball, work fast, change speeds, throw strikes. Been a good motto for pitchers forever. Keeps your fielders on their toes.
Ray Miller's old adage, the former Baltimore pitching coach. Hard hit down to short. Gloved by Tovar, and he'll take care of it. That's what Tovar has given his club, solid defensive play at short. And these are 2 teams that have had a multiple series of shortstops because of call-ups and injuries and whatnot. Tovar has been a leader on this Memphis ball club all year.
That is. This Memphis club is kind of defying what baseball has said for years. The biggest jump is AAA to the big leagues. But a lot of players off this Memphis team have jumped up there and performed for the Cardinals. That's the reason they're in contention for that wild card spot.
There's Austin Meadows, a bright prospect in the Pittsburgh organization. He was part of that deal that brought Chris Archer from Tampa Bay to Pittsburgh. And Jim Callis, he's the 44th best prospect according to Baseball America. He's one of the brightest young stars in the minors, isn't he?
He really is. That trade could pay off huge for the Rays when all is said and done. Obviously, Chris Archer's talented. He's under cost control for a couple of years. But you not only get Austin Meadows, who's a potential 4+ tool outfielder, you get Tyler Glasnow, who just needs to get a little bit more polish, but has definite stuff to make an impact in the big leagues. And the third player that got in the trade was Shane Baz, a first-round pick last year, righty with a big arm. That could be a huge deal for the Rays when all is said and done.
Big swing and a pop up to the third baseman. Sosa there, and he's got it. They get Meadows this time. They strand a runner, and Memphis still leads it 2-0 as we go to the second. Back in Columbus, Ohio at Mount Carmel Health, you are the reason for everything we do. Why we seek the best people and invest in the best equipment. Mount Carmel, because of you. Our pitching change brought to you by Mount Carmel Health. Here's your lefty. Kyle Bird will take over. So Chi Wei-Hu only goes 1 inning. He gives up 4 hits and 2 runs. And Memphis comes up for the second time. The number 8 hitter, Wilfredo Tovar, will lead it off. Edmundo Sosa on deck in the number 9 spot.
And you saw the numbers on Bird, both AA and AAA. So anytime a player gets called up, and AA player gets a chance to get called up to the next level as well.
This one takes a trippy hawk off Kean Wong's glove. And it'll be a base hit for the number 8 hitter, Tovar.
Might be a base hit because he didn't get leather on it. I think the hop fooled him. I don't know if it hit the seam where the grass hits the dirt, but No, he just misjudged it. That ball hopped up. It's a very generous, if that is a base hit. I'm sure Keen Wong be the first one to tell you he should have had that ball.
That'll be an error. They're going to charge Wong with an error. So the runner on, and another base runner for Memphis. Big swing by Sosa. Up the elevator shaft. Who's going to take charge? Low will, and on the mound, he gloves it. Kitty, you won 16 gold gloves. That's treacherous territory on top of the mound.
Well, the job a pitcher has to do it. The great late Eddie Lopat taught me that, one of my first pitching coaches. The pitcher should be there right now putting his hand on the third baseman or whoever else is coming over just to make sure. And actually, if you had confidence in yourself, you just take that one yourself. Because you're standing on the mound.
Well, when you played, they let you take it yourself. Not true for most pitchers, though, huh? One out, one on. Back to the top of the order, Tommy Edman. Bounce to first. First time up. Edman, the switch hitter, turns around and bats from the right side. Stanford native. Outstanding young prospect, high school player. And understands the game. I mean, we were really impressed by him when we had a chance to sit and talk with him about his approach to the game, the way he has learned in the Cardinal organization. And he said, I grew up in San Diego, so yeah, I was a Tony Gwynn fan, but boy, I got to take ground balls with Ozzie Smith.
Smart guy on the field. I mean, you can really see the way the instincts show up, but also smart guy in the classroom at Stanford. Academic All-American who was studying math and computational science. So if baseball doesn't work out for him, and it probably will because he's a good prospect, he has a bright future off the diamond as well.
Yeah,
but maybe he'll be in the analytics department.
Exactly. He didn't have to leave baseball anymore. By the way, speaking of analytics, these two teams are very much steeped in analytics these days. Coming up in the 5th inning, Jim will visit. And in the 6th inning, we'll visit with two of the leaders of these two organizations. There's a delivery, swing and a miss on a high changeup. Jim, who are we going to talk to today?
We're going to talk to Mitch Lukovics with the Rays and John Mozeliak with the Cardinals. You know, obviously they're both trying to make the playoffs at the big league level. Cardinals have a little bit better chance at Tampa Bay this year, but awful proud of what their AAA teams are doing back in the championship game for a second straight year.
No balls, 2 strikes. Rip but foul. And the Cardinals, John Mozeliak, the general manager, made particular effort to get down here and see his club today, even though they're in the middle of a pennant race. And he brought Gary LaRocque, who runs their minor leagues. And I was talking to Gary LaRocque before the game, and we both have seen him a lot over the years. If there's anybody that deserves a chance to be a general manager, it's Gary LaRocque. Hit hard but foul.
I was listening to a podcast today by Cardinals announcer Danny Mack, and they were singing the praises of LaRocque, Gary LaRocque, what he'd done in the Cardinal organization, and mentioned that, boy, he's sure future general manager material.
Well, he's a former minor league operative for the New York Mets. They're looking for a general manager. You couldn't pick a better guy than him for New York. Stubby peers in. The lefty to the stretch. That's up high and away. 1 ball, 2 strikes. The Cardinals will pick their spots in stealing bases. They'll hit and run, they'll bunt, they'll run and hit. Hit hard, flag down by Snyder. They get 1 at second, but not over at first. Good job by Snyder on a ball that took a tricky hop. It poured here yesterday. The two teams were scheduled to have a workout. They did not. But boy, I'll tell you, they've done a great job on this field with the weather they've had to deal with of late. This field looks like it's in opening day form, doesn't it, Kitty?
Yeah, it really does. Actually, the infield looks like it's playing like AstroTurf. Tommy Edman has to say, wow, what do I have to do to get a hit? Left-handed, he smokes one at the first baseman. And on that one, that was a terrific play down there at third base.
Tommy's got stolen base capability, so he takes a pretty good lead trying to get a view of this left-hander's move.
Yeah, Brandon Snyder, third baseman, made a nice backhand pick, and it was only Edman's speed that kept Durham from turning a double play.
There's Rangel Rivera. Ravello singled to start the rally for Memphis first time up and scored the first run for the Memphis Redbirds.
Ooh. I say ooh because that's
to a balk.
that's borderline balk. I mean, a left-hander's supposed to step directly at first base, but Bird gave him a good sort of a half move toward the plate. That's probably going to be a balk in the big leagues. Once you turn that head toward home and then change your mind, throw to first. Of course, I'm finding some of these rules over the years have been softened. Like pitchers for years had to keep 1 foot in contact with the rubber. Now you see pitchers lift that foot up and step into the rubber. Talking to the umpires yesterday that we spoke with, they said, oh yeah, that's allowed now. Boy, that'd be fun to get a running start.
Yeah, John Boswick said, you know, most cases, if they do it every time, we allow it.
Well, I'd sure do it every time. You could start a yard behind the runner. I mean, behind the pitching rubber.
And then the other thing is so many pitchers today will set up alongside the rubber. So they'll be either on the way on the first base or way on the third base side. In your day, you couldn't do that.
Yeah, they've really deviated from what was traditional years ago, where left-handers stayed on the first base side, right-handers the third base side. You took a full windup. Now a lot of starters, as we're seeing tonight, there's good pickoff move.
They got Edmund Pick, but he is called out. Very close call down at second.
Almost slid in ahead of the tag. Good move.
So a base runner, nothing to show for it. Memphis still leads 2-0 as we go to the bottom of 2. Great to have you with us. George Grant, Jim Cott, Jim Callis. It's the Gildan National Championship game for AAA baseball. Another look, Kitty. Is he safe or is he out at second?
Yeah, nice swipe tag. Got him right on the thigh before his lead foot hit the bag. As I've said for years, that's an art in itself. And the late Gene Michael, to me, was the best I've seen in my playing days at putting that tag down, selling it to the umpire. There's a real art to that. When you catch an attempted base stealer, it's the pitcher or the pickoff move, in this case the first baseman or the catcher. So all three guys have to do their job.
How about Javier Baez today?
Oh,
isn't he amazing?
He really
He's like
is.
Gene Michael in that respect.
He has got so much talent, the quickness, the hand-eye coordination.
Ambidextrous, really. His left hand is as good as his right hand with that tag. Here's Nate Lowe, hit .330 this season, a power source on this ball club with 27 home runs. They'll lead it off as we go to the bottom of the second inning. The home team here is Durham. It's flipped back and forth over the years between who wins the All-Star game and where the game is played. And minor league baseball coincided with the major leagues when they had it who won the All-Star game. And now they're back to whichever league, the PCL or the International League hosts, will be the home team. So Durham is the home team for this game. And Stubby Clapp's Memphis club, the visiting team. One ball, 2 strikes with the shift on. Quick flip, long stretch, and the runner will be safe at first. Quick to back up is Edmonds, so he'll go no further than that.
Well, even in the minor leagues, they do some shifting, and the shifting giveth and it taketh away. In that particular case, playing in normal position, it would have been a rather routine play for the third baseman. But in this case, he had to run a long way to get to the ball and then make an off-balance throw. Tough play.
There's Brandon Snyder, who made that nice snag at third. The Las Vegas native, 6'2", 225 pounds, hitting in the 6th spot tonight. Durham club that was pretty proficient offensively. You saw the home run totals for Nate Lowe, who was a power source. Snyder's out of that same mold. Not getting the high strike on this day is Herget. 2 balls and no strikes. Keene University in New Jersey. Ever hear of that before?
I have not. Heard of Keene, New Hampshire.
Yep. Division III school. He was a 3-year starter there. Herget was, and still holds most of the pitching records there. Still, right up till game time, wasn't sure if any of his family was going to make the trek to see this game in person. If not, they may be watching on NBCSN. Likeable young man, and you could tell, Kitty, the first time you talk to him that he understands pitching. He's not just a thrower.
Yeah, he really does. He's not considered, and maybe Johnny Mozeliak will tell us a bit more about that when he comes up here. He's not really considered a top prospect, but he fits in nicely right at the minor league level. Another strikeout there. He certainly has developed into the most dependable of the Memphis starters.
And Stubby Clapp saying very clearly, you know, when it came down to this stage, and at this stage of the season, I mean, both these clubs have lost starters. In fact, the whole starting rotation from this Memphis team is now in St. Louis. I mean, all the they had projected back in April to be the starters. John Gant, Dakota Hudson, Gomber, Ponce de Leon, who almost threw a no-hitter, and Jack Flaherty. They were the starters. They were all major contributors to the Cardinals in St. Louis.
Gomber pitching a big one tonight in Atlanta.
And in the middle of all of that, when they had the coaching changes, here's the 0-1 pitch to Conninsworth, and
good changeup.
1 ball and 1 strike. In the middle of all of that, when they fired Mike Matheny, they of course also fired John Mabry and Billy Miller, the 2 hitting coaches. So Mark Badaska, the hitting coach, was called up. George Greer joined him in the St. Louis clubhouse too. Mike Schilt was a former manager at AAA for Memphis, and now he is first the acting manager. Now he's been given a contract to be the manager for the Cardinals on a full-time basis. They've had great success, yes, overall in the Cardinals organization, but Memphis has spawned a lot of people that helped the Cardinals win up in the big show. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Cronensworth. Stubby, native of Canada, makes his home in Tennessee now. Played for Memphis, was part of their 2000 championship team, played for 4 years for Memphis. Then a minor league coach, a major league hitting coach, a minor league manager, and destined to be a major league manager one of these days. Short lead down at first. High fly ball into center. Thomas under it. He'll haul it in. 2 away. You talk about the Cardinal way, and you'll hear from John Mozeliak a little bit later, but here's Stubby Clapp talking about what is the Cardinal way.
Well, everybody says, what's the Cardinal way? And, you know, there's no magic secret except for to play the game the right way. So obviously you got to have the fundamentals. You catch the ball, you throw the ball, being able to move the ball around the field as a hitter. Know your role on the team, whether you're a setup guy or whether you're a guy that's going to drive in the RBIs.
2-0 Memphis.
Jim Callis down here in the Durham dugout with manager Jared Sandberg. Jared, I guess you got him right where you want him. You guys were losing early last year. What inning is Kian Wong going to hit the grand slam for us this year?
Yeah, that was last year. We want to get to this year. We've had a tremendous season this year so far, and our guys will pick it up.
You only got 1 inning out of the starter tonight, but you were playing the Rays bullpen approach anyway. How many starting pitchers, how many pitchers do you think we might see tonight before all is said and done?
Well, there's 13 on the roster, so we might as well use them all.
So thanks, Jared. Good luck.
That's the Tampa Bay way. Might as well use them all. Thanks, Jared. Thanks, Jim.
Well, out of necessity, that has become a lot of teams' way. It's not necessarily planned. It's because they don't have 5 Blake Snells or 5 Chris Sales or starters like that. And if you give a manager 15, he'll use 15. Limit him to 10, he'll make it work with 10.
Here's Rangel Ravello, who was in the batter's box when Edman was tossed out trying to steal second. 1 ball, 1 strike. Fouled off. You, of course, came up, signed as a teenager. You played for one of my favorite people in baseball, Jack McKeon, How do you think Jack would handle it today?
Well, he's told me before, and it was so nice of you to call him before the game today. I got a chance to talk to Jack, who's probably watching down there from North Carolina. As you know, if he handled me today like he did then, 245 innings in a season, he'd get fired.
Fly ball to right. Rep Snyder under it, one away.
But I would have to say he really made my career. There were a lot of managers that probably would have sent me home in 1958, but he believed in me, gave me the ball, and fortunately it paid off. So I owe him a lot.
Here's Alex Mejia batting in the third spot. Mejia singled back in the first and later scored the second run. Can we get back, Kitty, to the time when you'll get 7 innings out of a starter, or you think that is gone forever?
You know what's interesting, George? We talk to baseball people at every level, and I have never heard so much controversy about the way the game is run and played and operated than I'd say in the last 2 years. And we love the game. We never want to leave the game. We enjoy it, but I don't know what road the game is headed down with all these piecing the game together with pitchers. I don't think a lot of fans enjoy it. Unfortunately, from Little League up, we're not developing pitchers that go 6-7 innings. We're developing all kinds of relief pitchers. And as Bill Lee, we used to have a nice discussion over the wall at Fenway Park. Bill, the former Red Sox lefty, and we talked about the specialization, and he brought up Buckminster Fuller. He said specialization breeds extinction, and that's what's happened. A lot of the starting pitchers are becoming extinct. If they were trained properly, there is no question they could pitch more innings and become durable starters. Starts with the training.
Broken bat in the left. That'll drop for a base hit on a 1-2 pitch. So Mejia is 2 for 2.
I mean, if you're a kid and you dream about getting to the big leagues like I did, with the help of Jack McKeon, little jam shot there, but he got enough of it to loop it over third base. And you get to the big leagues and they say, yeah, you're going to pitch 2 innings a week. Really? I didn't dream about doing this.
Now, Kitty, of course, I mean, you still do a lot of broadcasting on MLB TV and with us every year, and but you also are doing work with the Minnesota Twins this year, mentoring some young pitchers too.
Well, I have a fancy title there, George. I'm not doing a lot with the baseball. Good high fastball right there. Dave St. Peter's brought me in to do more of ambassador work, but I have had nice discussions with Derek Falvey and their pitching coach. So whatever they have in mind, if they have a question, I'm there to answer it. But I'm sure happy to be back with the organization that I started with.
There's Randy Arozarena, who doubled in the first run for Memphis back in the first inning. Well, he's just been on fire. 6 foot, 180 pounds, native of Cuba.
Hey, and cooling things off.
How about that?
Wow.
Who set the timer?
I think Jared Sandberg did that. He said, we got to cool those Memphis hitters off. So he turned the sprinklers on.
We've had enough rain through the Midwest, thanks to Florence of late. So we'll have a momentary timeout here as somebody gets to the computer. Now that's pretty good. That may be the best play of the day. We talk about grounds crew. Don't forget, for the first time ever, the NASCAR playoffs come to Richmond. Will short track chaos lead to postseason surprise? The Monster Energy Cup Series hits the track Saturday night at 7:30 Eastern on NBCSN. That's the shortest delay we've seen for a rain delay in a long time. Man-made rain delay.
Yeah, I haven't seen if that game in New York has gotten underway. And they were talking, they moved it from a day game to a night game. Of course, that's a game in which Boston can clinch the American League East with a win.
Short lead for Mejia down at first. 1 out, 1 on. The 1-2 delivery. That's ripped into left, a base hit. Arozarena just continues to stroke, and once again he's got 2 hits in a ball game. Double and a single. Runners at first and second, 1 out, and here comes Thomas.
Yeah, again, it looked like a cutter. It's hard to tell from here, but didn't get in enough. Quick hands on the inside pitch. Didn't get it right on the barrel, but enough to get it into left field for another base hit.
Rosarena, native of Cuba. 2016 signee from the Mexican League. So here's Thomas. Thomas also single back in the first. Memphis had 4 hits, came away with only 2 runs after the interference by the hitter Justin Williams on a swing at home plate.
Yeah, they've had a lot of traffic on the bases, and that Jared told Jim Callis, Jared Sandberg, got 13 of them. We might use all of them. So there they have their 3rd pitcher warming up here in the 3rd inning.
Jared may have been right. 13 pitchers, use them all. And there's no tomorrow. This is a 1-game winner-take-all showdown for the Gildan National Championship game. Durham, the home team, because it's Columbus from the International League hosting here, and Memphis, the road team.
We're talking about the use of pitchers, and mentioned to Jared yesterday that doesn't affect today's game, but if this were a regular season game, he'd be looking at a pitching map. He has to look 3 or 4 days ahead of time. So if he uses, say, Bird for 2 innings tonight, he may not be able to use him again for 4 innings. So he always has to work ahead. With all this use of relief pitchers, it's making the manager's job much more challenging.
1 ball, 2 strikes. The lefty to the stretch. That's fluke foul and out of play. Well, I tell you, look around the ballpark. A lot of people showed up. You know, remember Columbus? They thought Columbus was going to be in this game. They fell 1/2 game short of making the postseason. That was largely due to rainouts in the early season when they weren't able to get enough games to qualify. But with about 7,000 seats sold, a whole lot of folks have come out to support baseball here at Huntington Park tonight. And hey, Kitty, we've been blessed to have been in so many places, and it's the same story here. Ken Schnocky and the folks at Columbus done a great job.
Ooh, that hurt. No shin guard there. He had it on the front of the foot, but that caught him on the inside of that left leg. Try to walk it off. Yeah, it's so unique, these minor league parks as well as all the new major league parks. And I think here in Columbus they took bits and pieces from different ones. They have the I think the left field is supposed to be reminiscent of left field in Wrigley Field.
Wrigley?
Yeah. You hit one way up there past the foul pole. It goes about 480, 438.
1 ball, 2 strikes, 1st and 2nd. That just misses. Bird peers in a long look at the home plate umpire, John Bostwick. Great to see before the game today. Thomas came down the field, and as Gary LaRocque, the director of minor league operations for the Cardinals, came on the field, he came running from the outfield to shake Gary LaRocque's hand, saying, thanks for all you did for all of us. That makes you feel great, doesn't it?
Sure.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Hit pretty good down the left field line. McCarthy giving chase at the wall, reaches up, it's off the wall. 1 run will score. Here's Rosarena rounding 3rd. They'll send him. 2 more runs score. It'll be a triple off the wall and left, and Memphis now leads it 4-0. So Rosarena's 2 for 2. Thomas is 2 for 2. Mejia is 2 for 2. And Memphis has a 4-0 lead.
Yeah, went down and got that one, and great base running by the Cardinals. Particularly a Rosarena at first base. Yeah, he got a great jump off there, so by the time this ball was retrieved, he was already halfway to 3rd. Easy to score on that play going about halfway, but a Rosarena from first base really read it right, and he scored and able to hit her to get to 3rd. Good base running.
Here's Justin Williams up for the 2nd time. He was called out for interference on a big swing, and he stumbled across the plate as the runner was trying to steal 2nd. Infield in, edge of the grass with the runner at 3rd, and Durham already down 4-0. Breaking ball, tries to get him to go fishing, doesn't offer at it. A ball and 2 strikes.
Yeah, if he's thinking right now, looking at the infield defense, pitches like that out there, he's got a big hole open between short and third. Poke a ground ball, you get a run home. It's interesting that they're playing him to pull on the infield, and yet they're pitching him outside, which they're inviting the hitter to say, hey, poke it to third, to short, and knock in a run.
This one looped down the left field line. With 1 out, long run McCarthy. He'll glove it, but easily scoring the 5th run. Following the triple is Lane Thomas. Still a little gimpy after he fouled that ball off his leg. But a sacrifice fly from Williams. He picks up the run batted in.
Yeah, that's a good at bat by Williams. He laid off those 2 breaking pitches down and away, and then hit one deep enough to left to get the run home. And it looks like we're going to get another pitching change here.
Time for our Mount Carmel Health pitching change at Mount Carmel Health. You're the reason for everything we do. Why we seek the best people and invest in the equipment. Mount Carmel, because of you. Another pitching change. Memphis leads at 5-0. Third pitcher for Durham. Ruben Alanis will take over, and Ryan, you talk about a philosophy going in. Jared Sandberg kind of joked. He said, we got 13 pitchers. We made use 13. This is what he told us yesterday about his plan.
To watch them do it in the big leagues, I mean, it happens in the minor leagues all the time, having a bullpen day as a starter gets called up, and so it turns into a bullpen day. But for them to take that tactic to the major leagues and use it there is pretty wild, but everybody's grasped the concept, and they're on board.
Jared Sandberg, the Durham manager, already his 3rd pitcher. We're here in the 3rd inning. 2 out now. Sacrifice fly, plates a runner. 5-0. Bases clean, and the lead belongs to Memphis.
And when he said the concept is because they don't have enough quality starters. They had a lot of injuries on the Durham staff as well at the start of the season.
Yeah, Jared kind of alluded to it. He said we all have to be on the same page, and in this era of analytics, it's so different, isn't it, Kitty? You've been involved in pitching your whole life, and in this day and age, you got to be on the same page, from the general manager all the way down to your rookie ball pitching coach.
Yeah, I think, again, it's such a disservice to pitchers, because a kid gets called up, he pitches 2 innings, he knows he's going to the minor leagues the next day, because heaven forbid he'd pitch 2 days in a row, right? His arm might fall off. I mean, I don't know who's come up with these numbers to say that'll happen, but that's what a manager's, that's the rules he has to follow. So guys are constantly going up and down.
Kinzer flied out first time up, 1 ball, 2 strikes to him. Working from the stretch with the bases clean. That's a breaking ball down and away, and it's 2-2.
Yeah, in Toronto's case, they had one pitcher that went back and forth from Buffalo 7 times. Now, how are you going to develop your craft in the minor leagues when you're waiting for the phone call? Is it going to be me this time? I just think it's really unfair to players, and I hope organizations start changing the way they look at it and the way they handle them.
It's interesting, too, because it depends logistically how close you are to your AAA team. Sometimes that beats you up for 2 or 3 days. For instance, Cleveland has Columbus. That's an easy haul to go back and forth. Cincinnati has Louisville. That's an easy haul. But if you were the Mets and you had Las Vegas, tough to do. By the way, congratulations. Oakland will be the new affiliate of Las Vegas.
Yeah, and I think the Mets are going to Syracuse. Yeah,
yep.
I believe Syracuse. Yeah, most teams are going to that now, and it makes sense to have their minor league affiliates in close proximity, so guys can get up and down without long travel.
Full count, 3-2. Sky high fly ball to right center field. Who's going to take charge? The right fielder, Ref Schneider, will. A big 3-base hit, plates 2. A big swing, and the triple by Thomas balloons the league. It's now 5-0. Memphis leads Durham.
Jim Callis down here in the Memphis dugout with Redbirds manager Stubby Clapp. Stubby, you guys are hitting the ball hard tonight. What has got into Randy Arozarena in particular down the stretch? You know, co-playoff MVP and 2 extra base hits already tonight.
Yeah, you know what? He come back from his little paternity leave. He come back hungry and ready to play. All of the games were on the line, and he came back ready to play, and he's swinging it.
He is, and on the mound, you're getting some good pitching out of Kevin Herget. Came up big in last year's PCL playoffs with a 15 strikeout game. What's making him effective tonight, and how many innings do you think you can get out of him in the last game of the season?
You know what? He's aggressive. That's what makes him effective. And so when he's aggressive with that fastball, it makes his off-speed that much better. And then we'll see what happens as far as how long he goes.
Okay, thanks, Stubby. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Jim. Good job down with both managers. Here's Mac James hitting in the 9th spot in the order, and a double in the first by McCarthy, a single in the second by Lowe. Those are the only base runners so far that Durham has had. So it'll be James, Wong, and McCarthy due up here in the 3rd inning. On the season, James at 192. Looped into right field, almost in his tracks is Williams. Justin will glove it, and there's one away. This ballpark in Columbus has really ranked in the top 3 in home runs in the International League over the last 10 years. A lot of home runs hit here. Our home run sponsor tonight is Orange Crush. It'll be interesting to see this evening if anyone hits an Orange Crush homer. Ian Wong sure hit one last year, Kitty. A grand slam. He was 3 for 4. That propelled Durham to the win over Memphis in this championship game. Orange Crush, where flavor meets fun. Available in orange, grape, and pineapple. Home run baseball. That's been so much a part of. Lined off. Herget. He'll pick it up and throw him out. Heading for a possible base hit. And Wong gets robbed of a hit on a nice play by Herget.
Yeah, good reactions. Wong's had 2 good at-bats. Hit the fly ball left center pretty well. And it's because he's facing home plate. Yes, he fell off to the first base side, but he was in position to get his glove up. Helped himself get an out.
Herget and Edman are the only 2 players that were active all of last year and back again this year for Memphis, returning to the AAA championship game. Herget was in the bullpen last year. Edman did get a chance to come in a double switch last year for 1 at bat. Last year, Herget had 22 appearances and a 4-2 record. This year, he's bounced back and forth between starting and relieving again. Fouled off on the big swing from Joe McCarthy. You know, while Durham hated going to Scranton Wilkes-Barre and stay in Moosic, Pennsylvania for all 5 games, Jared Sandberg's club, this guy wasn't unhappy at all. The guy at the plate, Joe McCarthy, was a Scranton native, so he had family and friends there all week long, and he responded with a great series. Not this time, though. A 1-2-3 inning in the 3rd. Head to the 4th. 5-0. The lead belongs to Memphis. Coverage of the 2018 AAA National Championship game is brought to you by Gildan, official national partner of AAA baseball. Gildan, every thread counts. By Kroger, same-day pickup and delivery. Save time. Shop online. Shop our app or Kroger.com. By the Ohio Beef Council. For delicious recipes and more, visit ohiobeef.org. Beef, it's what's for dinner. And by Tansky Sawmill Toyota. When you think Toyota, think Tansky. Kitty, that looked like you doing your warm-ups before the game.
B-boy McCoy, man, he's got some footwork. Little James Brown and Michael Jackson down there at the dugout.
8-9-1 due up for Memphis as we head to the 4th. Tovar, Sosa, and Edman. Tovar tonight reached on an error. It's been the meat of the order that's gotten the job done so far for Memphis. Mejia, 2 singles. Arozarena A double and a single. A couple of runs batted in. A triple by Thomas plated 2. Sometimes it's the vocal leaders that bring a club together. Sometimes it's the quiet ones, and Tovar would fall under the latter category. This one popped up. Is there going to be room for James? It's about 4 rows deep.
Well, you mentioned last inning about just a couple of the players that were here last year and are here again this year. Is both of these teams, when you had a chance to talk to them yesterday, talked about that core of players that are here all year. There's not many of them.
No.
Because they're going up and down so much. So that really makes those guys more important to kind of create that team atmosphere. Because you're saying a load of new guys in the clubhouse every day.
1 ball, 2 strikes in the dirt. You know, this is AAA, and that's the nature of minor league baseball. You have to supply the major league club. But, Kitty, go back to some of your final years on most of the major league clubs that you were at, and a nice effort by James there. There were very few changes at the major league level all season long.
Yeah, I found this out really when I just started doing some research. Well, they're good at that.
That's a liner in the center. That's a base hit. Big turn by Tovar, but he'll settle for 1. So the leadoff hitter is on, and here comes Sosa. All rise for Premier League mornings. Harry Kane and Tottenham face a tough test on the South Coast as they visit Brighton. That's Saturday at 12:30 Eastern, only on NBC. So a leadoff batter on, and here comes Sosa, who popped out to the first baseman first time up. Short lead down at first, and they'll toss over there. Even though a runner's been thrown out, don't expect the Cardinals to play this any differently. With a 5-0 lead, they'll even be more aggressive on the base paths. Sosa and Max Schrock have been sharing time at third base during the playoffs. Sosa gets the start today, takes a step out, looks at his manager Stubby Clapp, who rolls through some signs for him. He's got the stopwatch in his right hand to see this pitcher and his timing to the plate. That'll get the runner to second on a number off the end of the bat. So yeah, another runner in scoring position. Here comes Edman.
Yeah, you mentioned a number, but that's a productive at bat. You know, get a guy hit it off the handle the other way, get a runner into scoring position.
Here's Tommy Edman, and the question is, what makes a good manager? We asked Edman about that, and his manager, Stubby Clapp.
I think it's a manager that really understands his players and what they go through over the course of the grind of a full minor league season, and he's kind of able to read the players' needs and know what they want at a specific time.
Thoughtful answer, and Jim Callis, that hits a nail on the head of what you were talking about Tommy Edman. You spend 2 minutes talking to him, and you know this kid is something special.
Yeah, he is. It's not just the baseball ability, it's the instincts, it's the leadership. You know, this is a kid who was just drafted 2 years ago. He's already in AAA. He was up in the playoffs last year at the end of the season. Wasn't on the Memphis roster, I don't think, during the regular season. But he's advanced awful quickly. And you guys were talking about the Cardinal way earlier. He kind of exemplifies the Cardinal way. He can do a little bit of everything. Whatever you need, he can do.
And Kitty, you were a Cardinal. When you talk about the Cardinal way or the Dodger way or the Reds way, it's not just the way, it's the players that you draft, too, and that you have in the organization.
Yeah, and in my years with the Cardinals, it was more the manager was in charge. We played the Whitey way.
Yeah, that's right.
Whitey Herzog. and now it's an organization-driven concept much more often. I'm interested in asking Jim, because the Cardinals had a tough player. Tony La Russa calls him toughest player he ever had, David Eckstein. And is Edman like a cut above that ability-wise?
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of pure ability, I think Edman's got more. I mean, it was amazing that Eckstein played shortstop as long as he did with a below-average arm. I think Edman probably he's faster than Eckstein. He has a better arm than Eckstein. Kind of remind me a little bit of each other at the plate. You know, the kind of hitter they are, put the ball in play, you know, make a lot of contact. Not going to be big power guys, but can drive the ball in the gaps on occasion.
3-1, swings and fouls this off. It'll be a full count.
And you can tell just from listening to him now, Pete Rose didn't go to Stanford, but Pete had a high baseball IQ.
Yep.
This kid seems like, yeah, I went to Stanford, and I'm a smart kid, but he has a high baseball IQ as well.
Brings to mind the conversation I had with Pete when his son Petey was getting out of high school, and he was talking about being drafted. And I said, Pete, you're going to let him go to college? He had some great colleges looking for him. He says, heck, if he signs, I'll buy him a college.
Yeah.
Good idea, good swing.
Sounds like Pete.
Yep.
Yeah, and there is, like Stubby mentioned early on, the Cardinal way. See, that's good to see. What they've had some great at-bats tonight, and they've sprayed the ball all around. He tried to do it there. And Stubby knows better than anybody. With all this traffic on the bases early, you have a chance to put this game away right now. You don't want to waste any more of these opportunities.
3-2-1 out, runner at second. That's up high. Good at bat by Edman. He takes the walk. He's on for the first time, and that'll bring up Rangel Ravello, who's singled and flied out. He scored the first run for Memphis back in the first inning. And there's action in the bullpen again, so they won't waste any time if this inning balloons even more. Ryan Weber loosening now, the right-hander. We may get 13 in before this night is over. Jared might have been right. 1 for 2 at the plate, 2 on. 1 out here in the fourth. And the dirt, good block by James.
Yeah, this is an opportunity. We mentioned who's going to play with the most intensity. It's not that Durham isn't trying, but you can tell the aggressiveness of both Herget on the mound and the good at-bats by Memphis. A couple more runs on the board and another scoreless inning. Durham's looking at, hey, it's the last game of the season. We're way down. You lose a little bit of that mojo if you had any to start the game.
That misses inside. 2 balls, no strikes.
And the pitchers aren't helping any because they're consistently falling behind in the count and giving Memphis a chance to kind of keyhole, pick out good pitches, and take advantage of them.
Mejia 2 for 2 on deck. That clips the top end of the strike zone for strike 1. 2 balls, 1 strike.
Good late movement right over the edge of the outside corner.
Spoken as a true pitcher.
Yeah. Neighborhood call. If it's in the neighborhood of that corner, it's a strike.
That's it. 2 balls, 1 strike. Fouled off.
That's why we always liked the late great Ed Runge behind the plate.
Yep.
His first words out of his mouth when the game started, boys, they didn't come here to see you walk.
And then there was Doug Harvey.
Yeah.
Son.
It was an inch outside.
Quarter of an inch, maybe. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Middle of the infield, double play depth. That's a bouncer to the right side. It's going to sneak through. Here comes the runner around third. Clapp will hold him up, and it's a perfect throw to the plate. Great throw by Refsnyder. He would have been a dead duck. Stubby was waving him and then put the brakes on as he got to the bag. Good job of slamming on the brakes, and the bases are loaded with 1 out.
And again, another example of Memphis in this day and age, if everybody pulls the ball and lifts and launches home runs, they are taking it where it's pitched and hitting it that direction. 9 hits already.
Perfect throw. Stubby's waving, 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 and then watch.
Whoops.
Slam on the brakes, young man. So they're loaded. Another pitching change. Time for our pitching change at Mount Carmel Health. You're the reason for everything we do. Why we seek the best people, invest in the best equipment. Mount Carmel Health, because of you. 5-0 Memphis. Today's coverage of the Gildan AAA National Championship game is being broadcast on AFN, the American Forces Network. We welcome the nearly 1 million men and women of the United States armed forces stationed around the globe and in 175 countries and on the high seas. We're proud to have you with us tonight and hope you're enjoying the broadcast, and thanks for all you do to keep our country safe. 5 runs, 9 hits, no errors for Memphis. No runs, 2 hits, and an error for the Bulls. Bases loaded, and Weber's in a jam. Here's a bloop into right. 1 run will score. Here comes the runner around third. Refsnyder's throw to the plate will not be in time. Good throw, but just under the tag. 2 more runs score, and it's 7-0 Memphis. So Mejia continues his hot hitting, in the middle of this lineup does too. A base hit to right. Mejia drives in 2 more.
And what good base running right there. Watch this. No hesitation. Edman around third, and he did that because he got the good jump, hit first slide, gets in ahead of the tag. Very alert base running.
Tell me, he has delivered 3 for 3. He scored a run, driven in 2. Runners at first and third, and here's a Rosarena. Boy, he's continued his hot hitting for this postseason. A double that knocked in 2. Knocked in a run back in the first, and a single to keep a rally going in the third.
Oh, he mentioned that Durham, this is the 3rd time these teams have met in this winner-take-all game. Durham's won the first 2, but the Redbirds have a pretty good start on breaking that.
And there's a little bit of a personal battle, too. It was Jared Sandberg who defeated Stubby Clapp in the New York Penn League for a title, and then he defeated him again last year. So Stubby's got a score to settle here. He'd like to win one after losing 2 championship games to Jared. Fly ball to right, runner tagging with 1 out. Refsnyder will get the ball into second, a sacrifice fly, and another productive at bat. You don't have to get a base hit to be productive, and a Rosarena shows you why. 8-0 Memphis.
I'll tell you, this game, these at-bats would be worth showing to some major league teams. The way these guys have taken the ball all around the field, not tried to pull and lift and launch. It's been pretty impressive performance.
I'm sure that John Mozeliak, the president of the Cardinals, and Gary LaRocque are sitting with smiles on their face so far and what they're seeing from this AAA club. Here's Thomas, singled and tripled, and a couple of runs batted in. In fact, after tonight's game, the Cardinals were going to bring Stubby Clapp up to St. Louis to be with the club at the end of the year, but Stubby's going to go to Arizona for the Arizona Fall League, so they're going to bring him to St. Louis just to have him meet with the people in the organization for a day, and then they're sending him home. John Mozeliak said, go home, be with your family, enjoy some time before you have to go back out at it again. You need a breather at this stage, don't you?
Yes, long season.
0-2. One ball, 2 strikes. Thomas delivered a solid single to left and a triple to left to make it 4-0 in the third. Swung on, fouled off. They held on to by the catcher James, but more business done by Memphis. They lead it 8-0.
Hi, I just wanted to tell you that Chevy won a J.D. Power Dependability Award for its midsize car, the Chevy Malibu. I forgot, Chevy also won a J.D. Power Dependability Award for its light-duty truck, the Chevy Silverado.
Welcome back to Huntington Park, the home of the Columbus AAA franchise team of the Cleveland Indians. the Columbus Clippers. On this day, though, it's the home for the AAA National Championship game sponsored by Gildan, a one-game winner-take-all showdown between the champs of the PCL, the Memphis Redbirds, and the champs of the International League, the Durham Bulls. Line drive to center, coming in, reaching in, sticking the glove out and hauling it in is Lane Thomas. Great catch by Thomas, the center fielder, on a hard hit ball off the bat of Ref Snyder.
And those are the most difficult for outfielders to judge. The one hit right at them. Your first instinct is, oh, it's going over my head. And nice reaction to make a sliding grab.
Two pretty good center fielders here. Meadows, the prospect for once the Pirates and now Tampa Bay. He's at the plate right now, and good defense in center field from Lane Thomas. Here's Austin, 0 for 1, a pop out. A lot of folks on the Pirate side were surprised he was included in the deal for Chris Archer. Came over, had a 3-home run game against Charlotte, and then was hit his next time up in the left thumb. That really sidetracked him for a couple of weeks. Just now getting back and feeling comfortable at the plate.
Boy, and Herget is doing just what a manager loves to see a pitcher do with a big lead. He's aggressive. He's got a fast-paced motion. He's throwing a lot of strikes, keeping his fielders on their toes.
Off the end of the bat, blooped back, reaching up. Tovar, and he's got it.
And let me apologize. We understand there's some Memphis fans that are annoyed that we refer to the Cardinals and the Redbirds. But you know, when I played for the Cardinals, we were called the Redbirds.
Yep.
They always referred to us as the Birds or the Redbirds. But being the minor league club of the Cardinals, we know they're the Memphis Redbirds.
The AAA franchise of the Cardinal organization. So 2 away, and here comes Nate Lowe. Lowe is singled down to third, first time up. Stubby not only managing this Memphis club, he played for Memphis for 4 years and was part of the 2000 championship team in Memphis.
Yeah, he had a decent player that was his teammate on that team, a guy named Albert Pujols.
Yep. For Hopper down to second. Edman has it, and that'll do it. That's another nice inning from Kevin Herget. Memphis is rolling 8-0.
Jim Callis here with John Mozeliak, president of baseball operations for the Cardinals. John, just talk about how impressive it is to see these Redbirds in action. 66 different players. You've used the roster very heavily. I think their whole opening day rotation is in the big leagues with the Cardinals right now. Yet here they are playing for the national championship and playing well so far.
No, it's really been an amazing run. And you think back to the first 3 months of the season, and as you point out, our whole pitching staff in the big leagues right now really came from here. But to see how they've done it, and I think it's just a great compliment to Gary LaRocque and Stubby Clapp and what they've been able to do. And the continuity that you see between our minor league system and the big leagues has become quite seamless, and it's a great compliment to all of them.
Obviously, a lot of talented players on Memphis, Andy Kisner, Randy Arozarena, and on and on and on. But also, one of the better prospects on the team is probably Stubby Clapp, one of the best managerial prospects in the minors. I don't know if fans know a whole lot about him. Tell fans about what a great job he does.
Well, you know, we're lucky. Obviously, he had a lot of history in Memphis. You think back to what he meant to the Memphis Redbirds when they moved into that new ballpark, and I think he created a little bit of a brand of his own. But then ultimately, when he was over in Toronto, we identified him as someone that we thought could step in and be a AAA manager. And needless to say, the last couple of years have been magical.
Thanks, John. It's good luck the rest of the night, and good luck down the stretch with the Cardinals.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mo. Thanks for stopping by and chatting with us, and congratulations on another outstanding year for the Cardinal organization, both at the minor league and the major league level. And the other thing he didn't mention was Mike Schilt, who's now the manager of the St. Louis Cardinals, was a manager in Memphis as well.
Great credit to Mike and guys like Mark DeJean, who I see down in spring training in Jupiter. Fortunate to be another base hit. Put the bat on the ball, find a hole. Fortunate to be down there where I get to see a lot of the Cardinals and Redbirds and all of their minor leaguers in Jupiter during spring training.
So after Williams bounced back to the pitcher, Kinzer gets a base hit, and here comes Tovar hitting in the 8th spot. 8 runs, 11 hits now for the Redbirds.
Pretty unusual, George, these days to see a team score 8 runs on 11 hits, and we haven't seen a home run.
Especially in this park, which gives up a lot of home runs. More home runs and more strikeouts in Major League Baseball than ever before. But it's been another banner year in spite of the early season bad weather. In minor league baseball, the statistics just came out. Over 40 million fans again. Once again, over 40 million for minor league baseball in spite of a April that was horrible in terms of losing games and having delays. 1 ball, 1 strike. Bounced over the pitcher's mound, charging. Quick flip by Cronenworth, and they'll get the second out of the inning.
Nice play. Played it on his glove side. Best I've ever seen. I confirmed that with Don Zimmer early in his career. Derek Jeter had the knack of making that play on his throwing arm side, which saves a couple of tenths of a second getting rid of it. He was the best that we've ever seen at that. That was a fine play right there.
Willie Adames was the starting shortstop in this championship game last year. He was with the club early, and now he's up with the big club in Tampa Bay. Adames, if you looked at the lineup 2 nights ago for Tampa Bay, 6 players who played here at Durham now in the Tampa Bay lineup. Base hit, nothing to show for it. The lead still belongs to Memphis, 8-0. Wednesday night hockey is the night where stars come to play, and it all kicks off with the Washington Capitals raising their first ever Stanley Cup banner. Wednesday night hockey begins October the 3rd, only on NBCSN. Not quite a full moon, but a pretty moon here over Columbus, Ohio. Just a picture-perfect night for baseball, like a July night instead of September. After the rain moved through from Hurricane Florence, the hurricane has been in the bats of the Memphis Redbirds. 8 runs on 11 hits. They lead it 8-0. And on the other side of it, Herget's been great. Line drive sinking in front of the left fielder Rosarena. And a leadoff base hit by Brendan Snyder. So Snyder, after striking out the first time, singles solidly here in the bottom of the 5th. And that'll bring up the shortstop, Jake Cronenworth. And Snyder's another guy who's provided leadership for this Durham ball club with so many people coming and going. Cronenworth flied out first time up. Now, number 16 just keeps pumping strikes, and he worked. You know, you talk about throw strikes, work fast, change speeds. That's exactly what he's doing tonight.
Yeah, the Cardinals may not feel that he's, you know, a top prospect with his stuff, but what he's done for the Redbirds, I mean, you have to look at teams now call up guys that throw in the high 90s, and then when they get to the big leagues, they say, we want to throw curves, changes, and sliders, and that's what he does. So that might fit on the big league level without all the power. I know fielders would love to play behind it.
Big swing by Cronenworth, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Subby Clapp calls Herget his bulldog. So wherever you want him to be, he'll be there. You want him to relieve, he'll be there. You want him to start, he'll be there. He never says no. And in this day and age, it's a comfortable thing to have in your bullpen and on your rotation. Not big, only 5'10", about 200 pounds. Native of Teaneck, New Jersey, and went to college in New Jersey. 3-2. Cronenworth spoils a pretty good pitch, and we'll try it again, full count. Swing and a miss. It'll go to the backstop. The out recorded, and down to second goes the base runner. So it was her first out of the inning, and Snyder goes down to second. Well, Herget was part of this club last year, a bit part player. Didn't get the chance to play a lot during the playoffs. Boy, he was chafing at the bit and looking forward to this chance to get a start tonight.
Last year, when I was here, I threw, I think, game 2 of playoffs, the series before, and I wanted to throw. Yeah, I asked to be in the bullpen, just to, you know, to hopefully get me in there. I think they appeased me and they're like, yeah, you can go to the bullpen, but they didn't have a plan to throw me. So I'm happy we made it back, and I'm happy I'm able to throw. I think it's an exciting experience, and I think it'll be a lot of fun.
So far, it's been fun for him.
Well,
huh?
I'll say.
1 ball, no strikes to Coates, the designated hitter tonight. Hit hard down the line past the third baseman Sosa. That's going to get a run in. Coates around first, going to second, and Durham's finally on the board. A run scoring base hit by Jason Coates, and it's an 8-1 ball game.
Well, it's not the pitch count that will tell a manager when to make changes. It's the hitters and the way they barrel it up. And now they've hit a couple of solid line drives here in the 5th inning. And as a result, Stubby Clapp has a left-hander warming up in the bullpen.
So Coates in scoring position with 1 out, and here's the number 9 hitter, Mac James. Cabrera, Lane, and Lyons are the 3 lefties in this bullpen for Memphis tonight. Left center field, closing on it is Arozarena. He'll haul it in, and the runner will hold at second. Second out of the inning. Now, in the old days, Kitty, there was a mixture of 31, 32, 33-year-olds and some kids who are 21, 22. But you look at both these rosters, and in this day and age, it ranges from 22 to 26, and that's about your geographic age. Not a lot of seasoned veterans who are here, but some young veterans.
Good point. Yeah, AAA years ago were guys that were on their way down, who had been up for a while, and in some clubs it was not a nice atmosphere because a lot of the guys on their way down were not too friendly to the young pups. That's all changed.
Here's the leadoff hitter, Kian Wong. Kian up for the 3rd time. Another look at the delivery from Herget.
Yeah, looked like a changeup, good late movement, and again, despite a couple balls being hit hard, he keeps pounding the strike zone, which is good to see for Stubby Clapp and his Redbirds.
Now, your job as a manager, yes, is to manage your games, but at AAA, you really got 2 jobs. Number 1, all those guys that get sent down, that are unhappy they're sent down. How do you handle them emotionally, mentally? And all the guys who want to be called up and aren't called up, how do you handle them? Kian Wong fit in the latter category when he was bypassed twice on call-ups to the major league level. And by his own admission, he was in a bit of a funk. Every day for 2 weeks, he talked to his brother Colton. He said, I'd call him every night. I talked to my dad. Had to fight my way through it. And he said, and Stubby gave me the push that I needed. My dad, my brother, and my manager helped me get over the hump. No balls, 2 strikes. High in the air, left center field, giving chase is Arozarena at the wall, reaching up, and he holds on. Wong has hit it hard 3 times, nothing to show for it on this night. 8-1, Memphis has the lead over Durham. Back here at Huntington Park in Columbus tonight, we feature Pelotanya, an organization based right here in Columbus that's raised over $170 million for cancer research in the past 10 years. While best known for the 3-day cycling event, this year Pelotanya introduced another way to raise money for cancer research, a mobile app called Pull, P-U-L-L-L. That's Pull. Anyone, anywhere can help change the world through exercise and a smartphone. So tonight, all of these fans are grabbing a blue placard and entering as they enter the ballpark today, and they're putting names down of people that have survived cancer in their family or have succumbed to cancer. And we all have been touched, Kitty, by that illness in all of our families. And a moment of silence here at Huntington Park. Now back at Huntington Park, a moment to remember. Yes, we talk about baseball tonight, Kitty, but all of us, our families, each one and everyone has been touched by cancer in one way or another, and it's great to see the great support. We had last year, we had Stand Up for Cancer at Moosic, at Scranton Wilkes-Barre, and it was so highly supported, and it's the same thing here. Ken Schnake, the president of this Columbus club, has done a remarkable job in raising money and also in supporting the fight against cancer.
Yeah, last year Bucky Dent came up to the announce booth with us, and Bucky and I both have lost spouses to cancer, and talked about how nice it is for these minor league teams as well as big league teams to make the effort to draw attention, for support, for funds for research. Battle that we keep on fighting and hope someday that we'll win. Good hands, Ken. Caught that headset in midair.
You don't come to Columbus without saying hello to Ken Schnake. And Ken, we just had a moment that meant a lot to all of us and everybody in this ballpark, especially to you. And our thoughts are with you on this year, and your family and what you've gone through. And number one, thanks for all you do for the fight against cancer to start with. And thank you, too, for everything that you've done to welcome all of us here. It's been a remarkable couple of days. I know you were hopeful that your ball club would be in, but no one's ever done it before. You had the All-Star game, and now you host the AAA National Championship game, and you've done a great job with both of them.
Yeah, no one's ever hosted both events in the same year, so this was the first. And no host city has ever been in the national championship game. I'm still kicking myself about that one, because we lost the division by half a game to Toledo. They played one less game. We lost a wild card by a full game because Scranton played 2 less games. What's fair about this, gentlemen? Nothing. But this turned out to be a beautiful night. I'm really happy with the crowd for the fact the Clippers aren't in it, and we've got some other things going on in the arena district. This is a wonderful night to celebrate AAA baseball.
I mean, you had a sellout crowd sold, and a lot of folks, almost all of them, have come here tonight. That's a great testament to Columbus baseball.
It really is. I mean, our fans have been great. It's hard to believe this is the 10th year of this ballpark. It won 2 awards again this year. Ballpark Digest named us the best ballpark for 2018, and last week Stadium Journey announced that this is the best ballpark experience in the country of all 160 minor league teams. So we've won 10 big awards in 10 years, so I'm averaging 1 a year. I kind of like that ratio.
You know what I'd like to ask you about is that I understand you had a lot of input into the little characteristics that are in play at this ballpark. Tell us about it.
We did. The old adage about let's get 10 pounds of stuff in a 5-pound bag. we worked at that. I mean, down in right field, you see our tribute to Wrigley, our mini green monster. It's 22 feet tall instead of 37 as in Boston, and you can stand under the scoreboard out on the street and look in. That's like AT&T Ballpark in San Francisco. The backdrop raises and lowers. It's only the second one in the country. The other one's at Staten Island, and this one is mechanical. The one at Staten Island is hand operated. And we added, some lawn seating and some bleacher seats. And then that's our tribute to Camden Yards, the building in left field. And you look on top of the third floor, and that's Wrigleyville, our little bleachers. So we added parts of all the iconic ballparks that we could pack in here, because baseball has such a great history, and we wanted to be true to that. We wanted to honor that.
Well, what a change from old Cooper Stadium.
I didn't see that one.
We enjoyed every year coming here as a broadcaster with the Cincinnati Reds. We play the Indians every year. You rolled out the red carpet for us every year, and you kept a lot of your employees. It's been great walking through here, seeing so many of the employees that we saw way back at Cooper.
We're a family. We've kind of grown old together. And I think maybe somewhere down the road, not recently, we're probably going to all walk out the door together, and they're going to have to figure out what they're going to do.
You got to be proud of what the city has done to back you up, too.
The city has just been great in supporting us, in the county, and this is a community-owned team, so it's really not about the dollars that you make. It's about being affordable, wholesome family entertainment, and we live that mantra and that mission every day. And this is my 42nd year being with the Clippers. I always said I started when I was about 2 years old.
That's it.
A year after George did, and so this is just a labor of love.
And you are the dean of front office operatives in minor league baseball with those 40-plus years, starting not as an owner and a general manager. You started small, grew into that in a couple of years fast, and you've been a moving force at the game ever since.
Yeah, I started as an administrative assistant, so
we've all been that, right?
I've unplugged toilets and I've done all the things, so the staff can tell me how hard it is, but I did it back in the days when it was really hard. And we used to talk about, with George Sisler and stuff, at the end of a night, when we closed up the office, we would sit around a conference table, we'd get some beers out, and we would lick letters and lick on postage stamps and do it. You had to do it. That's how you did it 40-some years ago. That's how we made sales calls and did that. So you tell your young staff that today, and they look at you like, are you crazy?
Who are some of the players? Hit and run attempt right there. Who are some of the players that... Now, I saw Rocky Colavito's picture here. That was before then. But some of the players when you first got affiliated with Columbus that we'd recognize the names.
Well, opening day of 1977, a young right-hander by the name of Eddie Whitson was our starter, who then, went on to have a great career with Pittsburgh and then San Diego and ended up with the Yankees. We had Dale Berra in those first couple of teams. We had Johnny Lippon and Timmy Murtaugh as managers. And then we moved to the Yankees in '79. And that was Gene Michael. That was his first stint at managing. And he was so shook up on opening night that he went back into the tunnel and heaved after being introduced on the field. We went on to win 3 Governor's Cups. And, over the years, we've had Brian Dayette, and we've had Derek Jeter, and we had the core 4 of the Yankees, and we had Steve Balboni, Bye-Bye Balboni, and probably one of the most popular players was Marshall Brandt, and that's the only player whose number we have retired. He could have run for mayor and he would have been elected. Yeah, he was just a phenomenal kid. He only had the proverbial cup of coffee at the big league level. He did go over to Japan and make some money, but Balboni and Brandt, the BB boys in the mid-'80s, they were just phenomenal.
The M&M boys at AAA, the BB boys.
Yeah.
We come here every year, Randy Mobley, the president of the International League, Branch Rickey of the PCL. You have your meetings, and I know you were all invested in the game. Minor league baseball is a way of life. It's not just a business. Yes, it's a business, but it's so much more. What's the key to keeping people and keeping minor league baseball alive? Here's a fly ball to center. On his horse, reaching up. Not going to be able to get it is Meadows. It's over his head. Another run's going to score. Rounding third will come Ravello, and he will score. 2 more runs score, and it's now 10-1. The lead belongs to Memphis. So another middle of the lineup bolt. Mejia delivers a double that plates 2 more, and the middle of this lineup has been spectacular tonight.
Yeah, it looked like Austin Meadows had a little difficulty tracking that ball. And right there, it almost looks like he has it measured, and then at the last minute, whether the ball's carrying a little bit better tonight or not. Good job right there, being at home plate, telling your runners stand up. We got another one. But, boy, the Memphis Redbirds have had some quality at-bats in every inning.
Error, walk, and the double, and it's now 10-1. But what's the key to keeping baseball alive at the minor league level?
I think the key is the love of the game and the experience for families. You know, it's a little more casual game at this level than it is at the major league level. There's not as much money in play with the players. The players to some degree are still wholesome. You know, they haven't tasted that big money yet. They're working their way up. You know, I always say that a AAA team has three components. It's the young players like Jeter and Posada and Bernie Williams and Jason Kipnis. You don't know how good they're going to be. You know, the middle of your roster are guys that could be number 21 to 25 on any major league team. They just need to be in the right spot. And the last 30, your team is a little bit of the Peter principle. They're not going to play higher than AAA. You need to have them to round out your team. And as long as they understand your role and work with the manager, you've got a nice influx then. And I find here that the players are more accessible to the fans. We see some more autograph signing, more interaction than you do on the major league level. The major league level, the intensity is ratcheted up so much. The money is so big. And the pressures and even the demands of the fans. So just a little more relaxed at this level. And I think the staffs that they're involved in minor league baseball really have an appreciation for that.
Well, they finally find a way to get a Rosarena out. He pops up.
You know, Ken, I enjoy doing this game for a lot of reasons, but it's so refreshing. Like yesterday, listening to the interviews, 90% of the kids talked about, who helped you, who taught you the game. And it was their dad.
Yeah.
And then they dreamed about being a big leaguer, and that kind of took me back to, 1957 when I started. My dad wasn't a player, but he went to Lefty Grove's induction in the Hall of Fame. He was an avid fan, and I can remember at 8 or 9 years old, I never dreamed about the Hall of Fame or anything like that. I just said I want to be a big league ball player, and that's kind of the mission you see from these kids here. They learn the game from their dad, and they're dreaming about going to the big leagues someday, which we all did.
I mean, it may not be, the most popular game they will tell you football is, but it's still our country's national pastime because it's the only game that is passed down from generation to generation. And just the fact of the game itself has 18 natural intermissions. Families sit together, they talk to each other. Like you said, your dad explained the game of baseball to you. Every time I speak, you talk about, do you remember playing catch with your mom or your dad or your grandpa out on your front lawn, and you see all these heads bob. It's the only game where the rudimental understanding goes back to your grandparents, and it's passed from generation to generation. Basketball, hockey, football, none of them have that in common with the great game of baseball.
Well put, Ken. Ken Schnocky, thanks for joining us. Thanks for being a great host once again.
Well, I want to thank you guys for coming. You guys have become a big part of this. We enjoy having you, and once again, thank you guys.
Thanks for so much.
Ken.
Another Mount Carmel pitching break. We'll be back after this. Memphis leads Durham 10-1. And there are the numbers. 10 runs, 12 hits, no errors for Memphis. Durham a run, 4 hits, and 1 error. The 5th pitcher of the night, Colin Poche, will take over here in inning number 6 at Huntington Park, with Memphis in control in the lead. Barked out, strike 1 call to Justin Williams. Williams tonight out on batter interference, sacrifice fly, plated a run, and then bounced back to the pitcher.
Boy, what a great visit that was.
It is,
to hear Ken's enthusiasm for the game. And that's why I'd say it'd be good for every big leaguer or former big leaguer to kind of come around the minor league atmosphere and see what this game's really all about, where we all came from.
It is a business, but it's a labor of love at the minor league level, and it's great to watch as we walk around this ballpark. There are so many people who I recognize from working 10 years ago at Old Cooper Stadium. And they're still here, still part of the organization. It truly is. And that's true of all the minor league parks here in recent years, whether we've been to Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, or Durham, or El Paso. Go down the list of all the places we've been. Pretty special. These games are special, and tribute to these fans too. Their Columbus team didn't make it, but they're out in full force here tonight. Fouled off, but held on to. Williams is retired, but the Memphis Redbirds continue to pile on. They lead it 10-1 over Durham.
Hi, Jim Callis here with Rays Farm Director Mitch Lukovitz. Mitch, I know the game isn't quite going how you hoped tonight, but can you just talk about the importance of winning hand-in-hand with development at the minor league level? The Bulls have done a lot of winning the last 2 years. National champions last year got to the game this year.
Absolutely. We believe in winning. We believe in winning through proper development. We're not going to do stuff in the minor leagues to pinch him for a left-handed hitter when he's facing a left-handed pitcher and so forth, and pitch run for guys. Going to do it the right way, a professional way, but make no mistake, when we play, we want to win the game.
You guys pulled off a major trade at the deadline. You traded Chris Archer, who obviously a very talented guy with team control for a couple more years. You got 3 pretty good players from the Pirates. And, we're seeing Austin Meadows here tonight. Tyler Glasnow has had his moments in Tampa Bay already, and you got Shane Baz as a player to be named later. Can you just talk about what kind of impact that could have on the organization? That could really pay off down the road.
It's huge for us, and it's the way we have to do business, Jim. And you hate to get rid of a Archer type, but getting back Glasnow and Meadows here, and Shane Baz had a great game for us in Princeton in the playoffs in the finals. So we're really happy about it.
Well, thanks for joining us, Mitch, and hopefully the Bulls can rally here for you the last couple innings.
We need to. Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Mitch.
Thanks, Mitch. You're the best. Always good to see him. Talk about a lifetime baseball guy. He certainly is. Good job, Mitch.
Bulls starting to get a couple of knocks now against Herget, and I'm sure the Stubby won't wait too much longer to make a pitching change. He's had lefty Tommy Lane warming up down the bullpen. He's got some big league experience. Lane was up with the Red Sox a couple years ago.
10 runs, 12 hits, no errors for the Redbirds. For the Bulls, a run, 5 hits, and 2 errors. Base hit by McCarthy starts it off. Swing and a miss. 1 ball, 2 strikes for Refsnyder. Refsnyder grounded out and lined out to center. A fine diving catch by Lane Thomas in center field. McCarthy's hit was his second of the night, 2 for 3. He's been swinging the best bat for Durham. This one fouled off. Threaded the needle, didn't get the call. 2 balls and 2 strikes. In the old days, 74 was just getting you loosened up, huh? 74 pitches.
Yeah, well, the old days didn't count them. You counted outs. Yeah, and again, and that's, we mentioned earlier in the game, that's had the trickle-down effect on all of baseball, in that this pitch count level, and thinking that preserves arms is, kind of eliminating the durable starting pitchers that were around for years.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Rob Refsnyder, with Austin Meadows on deck. Or get to the stretch. McCarthy off first. Swing and a miss. Yep. And just when it looks like he's starting to crack, Herget comes back with a strikeout. As
Stubby said earlier, he established his fastball. He works fast, and then it makes those secondary pitches so much better. He's been very impressive. It's like Stubby maybe has seen enough.
Well, he called him his bulldog, and boy, Herget has been his bulldog tonight. Just what you want in a championship game. He's given his teammates everything they've needed thus far.
And more.
Pats on the back. Congratulatory slap. Herget will get a round of applause from his teammates, as well as those around the Memphis Redbirds dugout. This is what he's done on this night. Yep. A little bit of fastball, a little bit of changeup, and it's all work.
And good glove work. Took a hit away, spearing that line drive. Good job of using both sides of the plate, changing speeds. Very satisfying night. Kevin Herget.
He exits with a smile on his face, and a job well done. He'll exit with a 10-1 lead. And they'll go to the bullpen. Time from our Mount Carmel Health pitching change.
Yeah, lefty with that kind of a sidearm action. Gets over the top once in a while as well. Has a little big league experience.
And by the way, don't forget, France sets the stage for this historic rivalry as the USA defends on foreign soil and Europe wants to reclaim it. It's the ultimate must-win because in Paris, all is fair in love and golf. The Ryder Cup begins Friday, September the 28th on the Golf Channel and on NBC.
I don't want to miss that.
Yeah, I know you won't. you and Margie both will be watching that. Huh?
Yeah, that's great, great entertainment. So there's no pressure for a golfer like that. Fun to watch. See the numbers on Tommy Lane in AA and AAA. And a left-hander could throw strikes. Get a left-hander or two out in the big league level, you could stick around a long time. And I'm sure that's, even though he's been up and down, that's why he's continuing to try to improve his craft and get back to the big leagues.
Well, he's brought in for a reason because one of the best bats in this Durham lineup due to come to the plate. It's Austin Meadows. One out here in the 6th inning. A base hit and a strikeout, a runner on. We're at Huntington Park in downtown Columbus. It's the Gildan National Championship AAA baseball game. One game, winner take all. The title goes to the winner, either the PCL or the International League. That misses for a ball. Meadows tonight popped up twice. Once to the third baseman, once to the shortstop. Got in on him and he fouls it off.
That's where you appreciate what scouts have to do, because we talked along with Jim Callis before the game about the tools and the talent of Austin Meadows, and we haven't seen that yet tonight. But that's why you have to see a player over a period of time and not just one game. He may still have a couple of at-bats left to kind of show his talent.
Hit towards the left center field gap. Long run. It's going to drop and go all the way to the wall. Rounding first, going to second is Meadows. Here comes the runner around third to throw to the plate. Won't be in time, and it's a run-scoring double for Austin Meadows and the second run on the board for Durham. That's an easy power swing.
It's almost a Freddie Freeman type swing. You know, the lanky left-hand hitter with the Atlanta Braves. Effortless power. And, right on cue, he shows his talent, and then from first base, reading the ball well.
McCarthy chugs around the bases and will score the second run for Durham. So Durham's on the board. It's now a 10-2 ball game, and here comes Nate Lowe, 1 for 2, a single his first time up. That's a bouncer through into right. Here comes Meadows around third. They'll hold him there. The throw perfect. Williams' throw to the plate, one hop right to the catcher. Jim Callis, we've seen a good swing from Nate Lowe. What are his prospect potential?
Yeah, his prospect potential has really kicked up this year. Coming into the year, he was kind of known as Joshua's little brother. Josh, Josh Lowe's older brother. His little brother Josh was the number 13 overall pick by the Rays in 16. The same year they took Nate in the 13th round. This year he hit 27 homers, which was really key in his development because he's a corner guy. You're going to have to hit for that power. He only had 7 homers last year. He was known as more of a kind of field-to-hit guy than a power guy. This year, you know, really rising up the charts. One of the best first base prospects in the minor leagues. Finished in the top 10 in a bunch of different categories in the overall minors.
Now, sometimes it is the #1 draft pick. Sometimes it's the big names. But other times, you know, I mean, Mike Piazza, 72nd round draft pick, makes it to the Hall of Fame. It's how you develop.
Yeah, it's a game of making adjustments. He added some more loft to his swing this year and started driving the ball, better and further and more consistently, almost quadrupled that home run output, and now you can project him as a regular at the big league level.
First and third with one out. A pop-up into center field. Back is Thomas. He'll haul it in. That'll get the run in. So a sacrifice fly off the bat. And it's now a 10-3 ball game.
Well, when you mention these draft choices, and Jim would know this so well from following them closely, if you look at the guys that ended up being good big league players but not high draft choices are not your typical athletes. You mentioned Mike Piazza, Keith Hernandez, Don Mattingly, Ken Herbeck. They don't light you up with a stopwatch and a radar gun, but they got. I tell Pete Rose all the time, Pete, if you went to a tryout camp today, they send you home the first day. Couldn't run, didn't have much of an arm, didn't have any power, didn't have much range. Great baseball player. Stopwatch and a radar gun can't tell that.
No, yeah, I think you're right. I mean, for all the talk about tools and radar gun readings, the most important thing when you're a position player is your ability to hit, and that's not always easy to measure. You can't necessarily put a number on that, quantify that. I mean, they're trying now with exit velocities and launch angles and all that, barrels. Yeah. And the same thing with the pitcher. I mean, we saw a nice performance tonight from Kevin Herget, who's a 39th rounder.
Right.
He doesn't light up the radar gun, but he can really pitch. And you don't necessarily know. I mean, those guys have to typically move a level at a time. A lot of times you may not have overwhelming stuff, but there's still guys who can pitch well without overwhelming stuff.
Well, the exit velocity and the launch angles, I think it'll go away eventually. That's probably been more destructive to a lot of baseball players because those are byproducts of a good swing.
You're right.
If you try to launch a ball that's letter high, you're going to pop it up to the catcher. So you can't try to do that. You're where you swing is dictated by where the pitch is. And the margin of hitting it right on the barrel and just slightly off is so small. I mean, Rod Carew's exit velocity was probably in the lower third, but he won 7 batting titles.
Same thing with Tony Gwynn.
Right.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Runner down at first after the sacrifice fly gets the third run in. Memphis, the Redbirds lead at 10-3 over Durham. Great to have you with us. George Brand, Jim Cott, Jim Callis. We've been fortunate to speak to Mitch Lukovitz of the Tampa Bay organization, John Mozeliak, the president of baseball operations for the Cardinals as well. Heard from both managers and some of these players as well. Look out, that got him in the back.
Tough outing so far for Tommy Lane. He's brought in to get out left-hand hitters, and they got 2 hits and a hit batsman. You can see it was a breaking ball that came out early. No intent, of course, to have it thrown there. And Stubby's seen enough. He's going to bring in a right-hander.
Stubby's on his way out. He'll go to the bullpen. So after Kevin Herget was brilliant for 5+ innings, trying to find a method to get out of this inning. Time for our Mount Carmel Health pitching change. We'll be back. Memphis leads Durham 10-3. Baseball tonight, football coming your way. All eyes are on the Motor City, where Tom Brady and the New England Patriots take on Matthew Stafford and the Detroit Lions. Football night in America is at 7 Eastern, with kickoff now at 8:20. That's Sunday, only on NBC. Familiar face, familiar name. He's been around, Jim Cott. Edward Mujica, who spent his whole year down at AAA. Never did get a call up to the major leagues. And he will make his 49th appearance of the season here at AAA.
Yeah, he's had some success on the big league level in the past. 34 years old. He got 50 saves in the big league, so he's had some moments. 17 with the Cardinals several years ago, and Stubby just looking for 1 out from him right here.
There's Jason Coates, bounced out and singled in the first run for Durham in the 5th inning. You hear a lot about incentive-laden contracts and deals that might be made for people who sign minor league contracts. Many of them, will have an out at May 15th or June 1st if they're not called up to the major leagues. there was no doubt the Cardinals signed a contract with Mojica that said you are signing a AAA contract with no promise to be in the major leagues. Here's a liner into left. Edman can't get it. Rounding third. Here comes the fourth run for Durham. And both runners will move up as the ball kicks away and heads to the backstop. So it's now a 10-4 ball game. And now 2 lower runners are in scoring position.
Yeah, just a little bloop, but an ill-advised thrower home. You got a big lead. You're not going to get the runner at home, and what you've done now is allow the Bulls to advance 2 more runners into scoring position.
So all of a sudden, a 9-run lead is dwindled to a 6-run lead. Here's Mac James, the catcher. Flied out, struck out. Up for the 3rd time tonight.
Yeah, you back to Edward Mojica. You figure he loves the game. He's had success. He thinks maybe I'll find some magic again. It's like those of us that pursue that game of golf. You know, you're always going to find something where you're going to be successful. And he doesn't want to give it up yet. So good for him. Do what you love.
No balls, 1 strike, foul back, and it's 0-2. Trying to get an out of this inning. Action once again in the Memphis bullpen. Now, Dusty Baker always called it, if you're at bat, get above slam range. If you're behind, get within slam range.
Yeah.
Where a grand slam can tie a ball game up. That's what Stubby Clapp's trying to avoid right here. That's drilled to left. Coming in, reaching up is a Rosarena, and he'll haul it in. But Durham does some business. It's now a 10-4 ball game. Here come the Redbirds. There's the number, the Memphis Redbirds, 10-4 over the Durham Bulls. We go to the 7th inning. Andrew Kisner will lead it off tonight. Base hit his last time up, and the guy who grew up in Virginia, wound up going to NC State, played some third, mostly behind the plate, and he's one of the bright young stars of this Cardinal organization. And during spring training, he had some time to spend with Yadi Molina, maybe the best catcher of this generation, and he talked about what it meant to him.
I got to work with Yadi pretty much all of spring training. I was up there for most of the time in big league camp, so you know, just watching that guy go about his business is really impressive. How he just attacks practice every single day. He's locked in, he's ready to compete, and that just carries over into the game.
Well put, huh, Kitty?
Boy, and what a plus now for guys in the minor league system where, you know, years ago your minor league system was not in the same city even as the big league ball club. And now, as Andrew mentioned, you know, he gets a chance to rub elbows with Yadier Molina every day in spring training. And what a plus that is. Not only to learn, but to make you feel more comfortable in the big league atmosphere.
Slap foul the other way, 1 ball, 2 strikes to the Redbird catcher.
You know, years ago when a lot of us as kids were called up, all we knew about Ted Williams and Mickey Mantle is our trading card. You know, you never saw them, and so you were in awe. Now they're much more comfortable because they've seen these guys. Feel safe and comfortable around this atmosphere.
Son bloop to the right side. In comes Ref Schneider, will haul it in, and there's 1 away. You know, we talk about how pitching has changed with the use of the bullpen guys, and there's been a lot of talk in the last couple of years when we've come down here for this game. And I was here earlier in the year too. In fact, I was in Durham, and a major league pitcher came down for his rehab, and we had a discussion about the baseballs.
Yeah.
You had 2 baseballs in your hand for 2 days, a major league ball and this minor league ball. What do you see?
Would I love to pitch with the ball on the right? The International League ball, that's made in China, hand-stitched. The one on the left is the American League ball, made in Costa Rica, hand-stitched. And it might be difficult to tell on the screen, but the minor league ball is slightly smaller feeling. The stitches are a little bit more narrow and higher See, I can grip this ball. We don't have a... See, I can grip it with my 2 fingers. I always thought, I mean, guys can go in the weight room and bench press 350. I wanted strong fingertips. Learned that from Whitey Ford, where you get your fingertips over the ball where you can get spin on it. See, and I can grip that ball easily. Now, when I pick up the current Major League ball, it feels smoother, firmer, stitches a little lower and a little wider, and the minor league guys talk about it. The hitting coaches, pitching coaches, and next year AAA will go to the big league ball, and it'll be interesting to find out what the hitting statistics look like. Because when you center this one up with the dense barrel of a maple bat, which is what the big leaguers have to do, and that's why some of these warning track fly balls end up as home runs, they're going to get a chance to do that in AAA next year.
Well put, Big Jim. That's a swing and a miss, 2 outs. And you know, you look at that picture again of those 2 balls, and you don't have to hold it in your hand. If you look at that picture, you can see the ball on the right. His seams were higher. You could see it right there. Look on the right. His seams are higher than the ball on the left.
And there, in some cases, like the ball I have here, it reaches that where it's a little narrower. And boy, would I love to grip that right there. You know, you can feel it. You can say, I throw a curveball with this ball.
Well, 25 years of pitching for you, nearly 300 wins. You knew the feel of a ball.
Well, and even on the big league level, they're all made to the same specs, but they all feel different. Now, you take pro golfers, when they get a golf ball, Bryson DeChambeau, I understand, even weighs his golf ball, but they will put them through this little cylinder to make sure they're perfectly round. The big league baseballs are all not, they all feel a little different. That's why sometimes you'll see a pitcher throw a ball back in, and you say, oh, he wants a ball with higher stitches so he can throw a curveball. They all have a little different feel to them.
But they talked to one Major League pitcher who came down for rehab, and they asked him, you're allowed to use a Major League ball if you come down for a minor league rehab. He says, no, I want to use a minor league ball.
I don't blame him.
God bless America. God bless our great game of baseball. Let's stay here at Huntington Park. 9,183 paid in tonight's ball game. Let's honor America with God Bless America.
Your attention to the field and join Stan Stein in the singing of God Bless America.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairie, to the ocean wide with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Here are the numbers on this one. 10 runs, 12 hits, no errors for Memphis. For Durham, 4-8-2. Memphis built up a 10-1 lead. Durham was battled back 10-4. And a night when Kevin Hergert was the pitching star, hey, give credit where credit is due. Colin Poche pitched pretty well, Jim Callis, and he showed maybe the kind of potential that they could use at the major league level.
Yeah, I was really excited to get to see him pitch tonight. I mean, he was a player to be named later in that Steven Souza trade we talked about earlier. Unbelievable year in the minors this year. He led the minor league relievers in ERA at 0.82, strikeouts per 9 innings at 15 per 9 innings, held opponents to 174 average. And he again, we were talking about how it's not just the radar gun. Colin Poche sits around 90, 91, but he's so deceptive. He hides the ball well, and he gets great extension. Jim was just talking about spin rate. There's high spin, so his 90-mile-an-hour fastball, it's like it's 95, 96. You just can't hit it, and it's on you so quick, and it seems to explode at the plate, and guys just don't touch him.
Well, you talk about the radar gun, and sometimes guys don't touch this guy either. Genesis Cabrera, and talking with the Cardinal folks, I mean, this guy has an electric arm, and you don't really know where he is right now in terms of control, but he's been a big force in this postseason, Jim.
Yeah, he was another guy. He was actually on the Bulls for a while. Came over midseason in that Tommy Pham trade, and he can light up the radar gun. Now, he can get up to 97 from the left side. He's got a hard cutter slider, but like you said, it's not just all about velocity and power. The key to him getting to the big leagues and staying there and having success is going to be to command and control his pitches, which sometimes gets away from him a little bit. Here he's already got full count on the first batter.
Throws a lot of balls, but hits the dial at 96, 98 miles an hour. That's hit hard down to third. Another hard hit ball off the bat of Kian Wong. But, you know, a year ago, everything he hit dropped in.
Yeah.
Different story.
While you guys were discussing that, and I looked at the scoreboard, if the count was right, Wong swung at a 3-0 pitch. Down 10-4.
Yeah, you're right. He did. He fouled it off.
It's a different world.
What's up with that?
It's a different game.
Wow.
Here's Genesis delivering. The big left-hander delivers down for ball one. You saw the numbers on Cabrera. He was shown some respect by his manager. He put him in twice in the postseason playoffs in key situations and stuck with him. So I think when we get to this stage, 7, 8, and 9, we may have seen different people, but right now it's Cabrera and Gallegos. Those are the two guys that Stubby Clapp relies upon to close out his games, and I think that's what we may see from here on out.
You know what's interesting, and I wish I would have fallen into that category of tall and lean. But when you look at the left-handers that are successful today in the big leagues, Chris Sale, David Price, Blake Snell, Kershaw's a little bigger, and then you look at Cabrera. I mean, they're long and lean. You don't have to be that strong to throw a 5 1/4 ounce baseball. You have to have speed and flexibility. And those guys I mentioned and this Cabrera seem to have it.
Well, his body will fill in. I don't think his hair is going to fill in any more than it is, but his body will fill in. That's for sure.
He's got that old Oscar Gamble fro working for him. OG.
Is hit hard down the line, curving. It'll go foul.
I haven't seen him throw a breaking ball yet, Jim. What is his stuff like? Do you have a profile on his pitches?
Yeah, he's got a pretty good breaking ball. I mean, his fastball is his best pitch, and he can get up to the upper 90s, but he's got a slider / cutter. It's in the upper 80s at times, so we may see one in a moment, because it can be pretty nasty at times. I don't know if he has confidence to throw at 3-2, although he does have a 6-run lead.
Against Fresno, he came in and threw 14 straight fastballs.
Yeah, I don't blame him. And he's a guy they picked up actually from the Rays organization, right, for Tommy Pham?
Yeah, exactly. He was in that trade, and it's interesting because I don't know if he was giving the pitchers scouting reports on the hitters. When I was in the dugout to interview Stubby Clapp, I was waiting to interview him. Justin Williams was definitely giving scouting reports on the pitchers to the on the Durham pitchers to the other hitters. When Alanis came in the game, he was a heavy sinker, telling everybody he had a heavy sinker. So a little bit of an advantage for Memphis. You have a pitcher and a hitter who were with Durham for part of the season.
Right. It's different when you see it, though, in person. Here's Ref Snyder. Ref Snyder tonight, 0 for 3.
Yeah,
robbed of a hit.
Execution trumps knowledge.
That's it. There's a real good probability that Cabrera and Gallegos will wind up in St. Louis once the season ends for this Memphis ball club. They are two that will probably be called up as the Cardinals are in the thick of the wild card hunt in the National League and in the National League Central. Those are the only two logical call-ups that you may see from this club to St. Louis. Check swing. Does he check it? That's a strike.
He might have to get a chin strap for that cap.
One size doesn't always fit all.
See, you can tell by watching the foul balls. I mean, you can see they're late. They hit on the handle. They don't have a good sound to them from a hitter's standpoint. This guy's tough to barrel up.
Two.
And he's just wild enough to make a hit with loose ankles. You can't dig in there too tight and get comfortable.
Full count, 3-2 to Ref Snyder. Did he hold? This time he did. That's ball 4.
Kind of surprised there. He went with a breaking ball, 10-4 lead, 3-2 with that kind of fastball. You'd say, wow, here it is. Make him hit it. And from that angle, must have missed the corner.
At least for John Boswick, it missed the corner. Hard hit ball down to second. Edmund has it. And that will do it. Memphis holds on to a 10-4 lead. Back to work for the Redbirds. Here are the numbers on this one. 10-12-1 for the Memphis Redbirds, the champions of the PCL. For the homestanding Durham Bulls, 4 runs, 8 hits, and 2 errors on the night. 10-4 lead for Memphis. Here's our Donato's offensive play of the game. Order with the app or Donatos.com. Every piece is different and important. Big swing, not a single, not a double. It ends up being a triple. A big swing for another big inning for Memphis. Thomas's triple makes it 4-0, and to this point, the Memphis Redbirds have not been headed. There's Tommy Edmond at the plate. Our Mount Carmel Health pitching change. Ian Gibault comes in. He's the new pitcher once again for Durham, the 6th pitcher of the night. He joined us late. Chi-Wei Hughes started. Memphis jumped off to a 2-0 lead in the first. They added 3 more in the third, 3 more in the fourth, and they're holding on to that 10-4 lead right now. The pitching star for Memphis, Kevin Herget, pitched brilliantly for 5+ innings. He's been the star. Changes defensively for Durham. That in the at-bat, Meadows was due up. Micah Johnson pinch hit for him, and there's a rocket into the right field corner off the bat of Edmond. He rounds first, heads to second, and he'll have a 2-base hit. He continues to hit in every game. That's 9 straight games in the postseason. So Edmond with a leadoff hit here in the 8th inning. And it's funny, at the end of the PCL championship, when the victory went to Memphis over Fresno, Arozarena hit 2 home runs in the final game, and it appeared that Arozarena was going to be the most valuable player. And Branch Rickey on the on-field ceremonies was prepared to give the trophy to Arozarena as the MVP, and he handed the microphone over to Stubby Clapp, and the manager of the Redbirds started talking, and Edmond had such a great series. And he was the leading hitter for his ball club. He had key hits in every game of the series, all 5 games of the series. And as Stubby started talking, you knew something was up, and he ended up giving the trophy to both of them. Branch Rickey, he said, Branch, I'm not sure if this is legal, but I'm going to give it to both of them, and rightly so. Edmond had a great series, and so did Arozarena. This one all the way to the backstop, and Edmond will go to third. So they set a new standard thanks to Stubby Clapp. The first time they had dual winners of the MVP trophy.
So they each get a trophy.
Yep.
Wow, airmails this one over the catcher and the umpire.
Wow, pitch sends a runner to third. Ravello digs in and slices it foul to the right side.
Jim was talking last inning about the players learning scouting reports on different hitters as we talked about Cabrera, and I chuckled at that yesterday when Andrew Kisner said, talking about Herget's game plan, and he said, yeah, we sit down with the pitching coach and the catcher and the pitcher, and we go over all the players in the other team because there's so much information out there now. All we knew, and it reminded me when I talked to my former manager Jack McKeon before the game, you know, Jack would say, well, we're playing Great Falls Electrics tonight. You're pitching, maybe spit a little tobacco juice on your shoe or something. But we had no information other we knew what the uniform was. So it's another big advantage that that teams have today, is to find out all that information about their opposition.
1 ball, 2 strikes. And now, of course, at the major league level, you have your iPads on the bench that you can use that'll give you scouting reports. It can't be used for live feeds, but you can stockpile a pitcher's motion or whatever and have that on the bench. Sometimes that can hurt more than it helps, I think. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Infield in, edge of the grass with a runner on third. Swing and a miss. And they'll get Ravello.
Yeah, again, the knowledge is good, but the execution is what you need to go with the knowledge.
So Gibault gets his first out here of the 8th. And that'll bring up Mejia. The middle of this lineup has done most of the damage tonight. Mejia has 4 hits, 3 singles and a double. He scored a run in the first, knocked in a run in the 4th, and then knocked in runs 9 and 10 in the 6th inning. Following him, Rosarena had an RBI double in the 1st inning. He singled in the 3rd, sacrifice fly in the 4th, and they finally got him out in the 6th inning. And we showed you the triple by Thomas. That goes along with a single. So the middle of this lineup has produced for Memphis tonight.
Yeah, he missed a pitch he'd like to have back right there. That was one he could have easily driven to the outfield, got a run in. Just a bit late at it. You see, it was up in his eyes. Good swing.
Right back through the middle into center. That'll be add-on. What a night for Alex Mejia. 5 straight base hits, 4 singles and a double. Gets another run batted in, and the Memphis lead is now 11-4.
Yeah, and he went down to get this one. Just missed a high fastball, and he goes down and gets a low breaking ball. Drives it up the middle.
Last year it was Kian Wong who was 3 for 4 in the Grand Slam homer that was the offensive star. Mejia tonight, a brilliant night offensively. There's a shot into the left field corner. It will be a fair ball. 1 hop off the top of the wall. Here comes Mejia around third. They'll hold him, and it'll be a double for a Rosarena. So Mejia and a Rosarena are a 2-man wrecking crew for this Memphis club tonight.
Yeah, this guy covers everything. Fastball's up and in, went down and got a breaking ball, and does it with power. 11 runs now, 15 hits, still no home runs, but they're using the whole field.
So infield again, in at the edge of the grass with runners at 2nd and 3rd, and that'll bring Thomas back to the plate. He singled in the 1st and then tripled in those 2 runs in the 3rd. Struck out and bounced out his last 2 times up. What a night for Mejia. Brilliant night for him tonight. Wow, that's hit a ton. If it's fair, forget it. Curving down the line, it will be a fair ball and a 3-run home run. Well, Lane Thomas has delivered the 2 biggest blows of the night. A triple that played at 2, and this 3-run home run that makes it 14-4. Time for our Orange Crush home run. Orange Crush for flavor meets fun. Available in orange, grape, and pineapple. A big shot from Lane Thomas. Boy, he hit 2 balls right on the button tonight. The triple and then this one. What a swing, Kitty.
Yep. Again, pitch up and in. Hitters are always a little more ready for a pitch inside early in the count. And as Ken told us, that's reminiscent of the Camden Yards warehouse out there in left field. That was headed for that 437 sign up there, I think.
Yeah, we talked earlier about Nate Lowe turning on the power this year. Thomas did too. He had 18 homers his first 4 years of pro ball, 27 this year between AA and AAA. Added some loft to his swing, started driving the ball. You know, former 5th-round pick who's really starting to come into his own this year.
Now, so often, not just players that are gone, but coaches that are gone still have an effect on a ball club. And for the Redbirds, the Cardinals organization had Mark Badaska down here for many years as their hitting coach. So solid. And George Greer, who was a roving hitting coach, they were both here. Both of them are at the major league level now. And if you talk to these hitters, both of them have been instrumental in their development. Paying off. There's a bouncer. Ian Wong has it. They'll get the out at first. And there's your second out at the inning. Well, the numbers now on the Memphis 3, 4, 5 hitters. 11 for 13. Wow. 7 runs and 12 runs batted in. That'll put a smile on number 10's face, huh?
Well, that'll give you an idea from a pitcher's standpoint. When you look at that lineup card and you're pitching that night against teams, you say, well, let me look at the heart of the order. Those are the guys that gotta have to shut down.
Two away, and here's Kinzer. A 1 for 4 night thus far. Talk about an offensive night. 5 hits for me here tonight. How about last night? Christian Yelich.
Wow.
Hits for the cycle for the 2nd time this year against the same team, the Cincinnati Reds. Yeah. Hard to believe, huh? That's a night. Boy, it's going to be tough to pick your most valuable players in either league this year.
Yeah, he's making a strong push toward getting into consideration.
And we've got some pennant races still to have fun with in the closing days of the season.
A tough night for these Durham pitchers. Obviously, they've performed much better than that, or they wouldn't have reached this final game. All the playoff layers they had to go through and their record during the regular season. But I think you have to give credit tonight to the Memphis hitters.
This one drilled to left. Heading towards the corner. It's one hop off the top of the wall. And Kinzer will have a 2-base hit. Another banger off the wall. Kinzer on top of that swing. And the 8th batter of the inning comes to the plate. Another runner in scoring position. He unloads on this swing.
Yeah, again inside, but obviously not quite enough on the. If you're pitching a hitter up and in, you want that to be your best fastball. And so far, all the Redbird hitters have been able to turn on it and get the barrel on it. Another looks like another pitching change.
7th pitcher of the night on his way in. We got a lot of offense. Our Mount Carmel Health pitching change of the night. Milner will be on his way in, and while we have a moment, we can talk about our Donato's defensive play of the night. Order with the app or at Donatos.com. Every piece is important. What a catch by Lane Thomas in center field. Had it measured off the bat. Brilliant catch by Thomas. And that robbed Repschneider of a leadoff base hit in the 4th inning. Well, two different dugouts right now. This Memphis dugout smiling on a scoreboard that has 17 hits and 14 runs. They lead at 14-4 as you're watching the Gildan Championship game on NBC SN. Coverage of the 2018 AAA National Championship game is brought to you by Jana King. Who cleans your office for business? Around the world, Jana King is the most trusted choice. Learn more at janaking.com. By Drink Pepsi. Collect points. Get stuff at pepsistuff.com. And by Baseball America, the authority of the sport since 1981. Visit baseballamerica.com for the latest info on top prospects across the game. Look at beautiful downtown Columbus, Ohio. This is football season in Columbus. The Buckeyes, of course, are at the top of everybody's list. The Columbus Blue Jackets just 1 block away in their brand new edifice, and they've already started their preseason activity with high hopes here in Columbus. And we're just a block away as you walk down the boulevard. In fact, you can walk down the boulevard and watch the ball game. Those right field holes in the wall, they're at street level, so you can walk past the ballpark and watch some of the game. There's the new lefty Milner. Those fans are not, they don't have tickets. They're just walking past the park and
stop and watch a couple hits from these Redbirds. There have been 17 of them to look at. Milner actually acquired in a trade with the Phillies. He spent a little time with the Phillies in that Lehigh. Again, anytime you see a side-arming lefty, if he can execute pitches, there's always a need for guys like that in the big leagues because of swings like that from a left-hand hitter.
Max Schrock will pinch hit, but he'll be disposed of with the strikeout. But 14-4, there's your lead for Memphis over Durham. Fourteen 17-1, 4-8-2 for Durham. Has a big swing and a foul off to the left side off the bat of Nate Lowe. Lowe tonight, single, bounced out and single, knocked in the 3rd run for Durham back in the 6th inning. That fastball's up high. Steady dose of high heat from number 11.
Yep.
Lively arm. He was just as he's billed as.
Yeah, a lot of lefties succeed in the big leagues. They call them crafty left-handers. They don't throw exceptionally hard. They got funky motions, breaking pitches, control movement. This guy's just right over the top with a high velocity, high octane fastball. A little bit like Chapman.
I know the Yankees are hopeful to get a healthier Aroldis Chapman ready for the postseason. Foul back again, hanging in there at some pretty good heat from this young left-hander.
Well, the key coming out of the bullpen for every manager I've pitched for, and especially for Whitey Herzog, is you can give up a hit here and there, but the one thing, particularly in a game like this, no base on balls. Challenge hitters, throw strikes, make them earn it.
And there's your walk. A leadoff walk here in inning number 8. Action in the Memphis bullpen as well as the Durham bullpen as we're here in inning number 8.
Looks like Chris Ellis warming up down there. And the base on balls, as you watch the postseason play, it's going to be those bullpens that can throw strikes, not give free passes or hit batsmen and things like that, regardless of what your regular season record was.
It is a different season, isn't it?
Yeah.
Different season mentally, emotionally, and athletically. 1 ball, no strikes.
Well, the intensity level, first of all, you're playing the best teams, high caliber teams. Hitters are probably more disciplined. And the control of your pitches becomes even more important. It's important during the year, but much more important in postseason. And again, you see a little conference on the mound right there, because when teams in the past had left-handers named Bill, when they had their good control, they were Sweet William, and when they didn't, they were Wild Bill.
That's it. Stubby's looking over his shoulder saying, I'm used to this. That's why I said Kinsler out there. Yeah. Brandon Snyder digs in, 1 for 3 on the night thus far with a runner on first. They'll play behind him at first. Ooh. And that's way out of the strike zone. That's in there.
And obviously at 21 years old, you're going to be patient with a left-hander like that, give him a chance to develop a repetitive motion where he can throw strikes consistently.
Back-to-back walks to lead off the 8th inning. And yes, it might be a 10-run lead, but see how long Stubby will live with this. That's what gets your stomach churning as a manager. With this, no matter how big your lead is in a game like this, you don't want to make it a game.
The old saying, it isn't a long ball that beats you, it's those base on balls.
Cronenworth steps up for the 4th time tonight. He flied out, struck out, and was hit by a pitch. Middle of the infield, double play depth. That slider drops in for a strike. Well, either way, these two teams are going home after tonight, and while the PCL championship started in Fresno and then went to Memphis, the Redbirds had a chance to clinch at home. Somewhat odd there because of the travel situation. They all went from Fresno to Memphis together on the same charter plane. They had Memphis on one side of the plane, Fresno on the other side, and the umpires in the front.
Wow.
Unique, very unique.
I'll say.
The other side of it is, one way or another, finally, Jared Sandberg and this Durham club is going to go home. Because of Hurricane Florence, they were not able to play any of their final round playoff games at home. They were in Scranton-Wilkes-Barre for all 5 games of that series, then had to come here in a bus ride from Scranton-Wilkes-Barre to here, about 8 hours. So they're looking forward to getting home. Most of the players that we talked to, and Jared included, the rain did hit the Durham area, but most of those folks were okay. They had some minor damage, but not major flooding. And our thoughts and prayers are with everyone that's had to withstand the furor of Hurricane and then Tropical Storm Florence. It blew through here yesterday with some heavy rain, and now it's hitting the New York City area with rain and thunderstorms as well. Good riddance as it heads out to sea. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 on. Nobody out here in the 8th. And another full count, 3-2.
Test Stubby's patience here. I would say if this pitch is not a strike, it's going to be about the end of the night for Cabrera.
You would think so. Slap foul and out of play. Cabrera to the stretch with 2 on. This drill to center field. Hauled in deep center field by Thomas, and there's your first out of the inning.
Yeah, good at bat, deepest part of the ballpark. Barreled it up. Any other place but at that 405 sign, he probably had an extra base hit.
This ballpark gave up, in most years, more home runs than any other park in the International League, with both the short left field and short right field fences. That'll be it. Cabrera is gone. Stubby's out. So Cabrera shows us his 95, 96 mile an hour fastball still developing. Our Mount Carmel Health pitching change will bring in Chris Ellis to try to close things out here in inning number 8. Veteran Chris Ellis will get the baseball here in the 8th inning. Unhappy more with himself, I think. He came out and gave his manager a pat on the back as Stubby Clapp took him out.
Well, good experience for him. You know, had a big lead, comfortable lead, see if he could throw strikes. And I remember asking Lou Piniella, you remember back in the Seattle days, they traded Mike Hampton for Eric Anthony. And I said to Louie, boy, you traded Mike Hampton. He said, yeah, I couldn't get the ball over. I said, he's 20 years old. Eventually he did. And the same thing with Cabrera. Left-handers, it takes a little longer to harness that control.
And you're either talking about somebody who throws hard or somebody with a big swing where you wonder, will they ever stop striking out? And Eric Anthony, star player, Willie Mopena, hitters like that.
Yeah, I even remember the early days of Andre Dawson with Montreal. And Dick Williams stayed with him. He had a tough start back in the 70s. And then, of course, if those of you out there remember that name, became a great Hall of Famer.
It's been a great couple of days here in downtown Columbus. Days that this Memphis team will remember with a big smile on their face. Not so much for Durham the way the scoreboard reads, but boy, what a kudos to everyone surrounding the International League and the PCL. Randy Mobley, the president of the international branch, Ricky, president of the PCL, Pat O'Connor from minor league baseball, the president of minor league baseball, all of them, and all the people that have made it so welcoming over the last few days. It's a highlight moment in the AAA season. It includes some meetings of minor league executives as well. Nick Solak at the plate with the 2 runners on. Solak will get his first at bat of the night. Ellis trying to close things out with 1 out here in the 8th. Big tall right-hander to the stretch. That's a call, strike 3, and that's out number 2 in the inning.
Well, Stubby said, let me go to somebody that can throw strikes, and he quickly throws 3 of them. Little delayed call, but it did catch the corner. The hitter even knew it. He was ready to walk back to the bench until he actually heard the call.
Two-way, and here's the catcher, Mac James, hitting in the 9th spot. Fly ball to right and 2 fly balls to left off the bat of James tonight. You get to this stage of the season, Jim Callis, and you look forward not just to the players that we're seeing here, but you're heading to the Arizona Fall League, and I know there's a lot of talk surrounding who we might see in the Fall League and then who we might see again come next spring.
Yeah, no, I think the Arizona Fall League and the College World Series are my 2 favorite events to cover, and I get to go to them every year. This year, fans that go to the Fall League, you're in for a treat. You get to see Vladimir Guerrero Jr., best prospect in baseball, almost hit 400 this year as a 19-year-old in the upper minors. And not just him, there's a lot of great prospects out. The best pitching prospect in baseball, Forrest Whitley with the Houston Astros, will be out there. Bo Bichette, who's played with Vlad Jr. in the minors, will be out there. Taylor Trammell with the Reds is a really toolsy center fielder. A lot of great talent out there.
All to look forward to in the fall league and next spring as well. Finally, the final out after 2 walks set things up. The runner stranded by Ellis. Lead belongs to Memphis. 14-4. Here's the smiling scoreboard for the Memphis Redbirds. 14 runs, 17 hits, and an error. For the Durham Bulls, 4 runs, 8 hits, and 2 errors. The story of this game, Alex Mejia, 5 hits, 4 singles, and a double. He's been the offensive star. From a pitching standpoint, I don't think there's any doubt, Jim Cott, that Kevin Herget was a star of this game on the mound.
Yeah, it was a rewarding start for him. I think we talked at the beginning of the game, one of the keys is who pitches the best. That's usually the story in every game. But even with that big lead, he was aggressive, threw all his pitches for strikes. And you don't expect much more than 5 innings these days, particularly when he hasn't been a seasoned starter. He's been a reliever and a starter. So he gave Stubby Clapp everything he was looking for.
Our Mount Carmel Health pitching change. Here's Jordan Harrison, who will take over. Somewhat jokingly, when this game started, Jared Sandberg said, we've got 13 pitchers here tonight. We might use all of them. Well, they're into their 7th.
Yeah, we used to refer to that as Johnny Holstaff.
That's right.
See him tonight, and they did.
Here's Ramon Urias. Bounce one back to the mound. And there is out number 1 here in the top of inning number 9. Hitting in the 9th spot in the order. Now the players that we look forward to seeing here today, we've heard so much about. Tommy Edman, who has played so well in the postseason, showed us his defensive and his offensive ability. The offense of this Memphis club just has been relentless in the last couple of games. Mejia, Arozarena, Thomas, all outstanding. It's a hard hit ball down to third. Thomas again right on the button, but he's retired and there's 2 away.
And both of the parent teams of these Durham Bulls and Memphis Redbirds are doing well tonight. They both got good starting pitching. Looks like Blake Snell will get his 20th win. Went 6 innings for Tampa, and Gomber, who started the year with these Memphis Redbirds, looks like he may get another win against the Atlanta Braves. So guys from Memphis that have been called up, and top draft pick of the Rays, all doing well tonight.
Here's Ravello after Edmund is retired. You know, we were here a year ago with Kyle Snyder, where you and I both had an enjoyable time talking with him, and he's done a tremendous job with the young pitching up at Tampa Bay. Great to see him go from the AAA to the major leagues as well. Not just players, the coaches too.
I think years ago managers picked guys that were their buddies somewhere in the minor leagues or the major leagues, and now we're seeing a lot of guys that have spent time in an organization get rewarded because there's sort of a system that goes from top to bottom. And Kyle Snyder is one of those.
Congratulations to both these organizations for doing that. Cardinals are known for that too. Gary LaRocque argued strongly to move up some of his coaches to the major league level, and they have. And you got to figure that guy right there, Stubby Clapp, will either be a bench coach or a manager at the major league level soon. I don't think there's any doubt that he's on the fast track. Mike Schilt was a manager in Memphis with the Redbirds. He's now is the manager of the Cardinals, so he's not going anywhere anytime soon. But there'll be an opportunity for Stubby. He's proven his value in the way he manages people, the way he manages a game. And now, if you list the things that are important about a manager, probably managing the game is the last on the list. It's everything else that takes precedence. You know, building a culture, communication, discipline, all those things come first, and he's been great at all those. Full count, 3-2. Swing and a miss, and it's a 1-2-3 ninth. Last round up time for Jared Sandberg and his Durham Bulls here in the Gildan AAA National Championship game.
Hope
Hope is eternal. Maybe, just maybe, I'll get a home run ball out there, huh, Kitty?
Yeah, right. And he's practicing his pitching motion.
That's what this game is all about. Well, down to the last roundup for the Durham Bulls. Here's Kian Wong, who was 12 months ago the star of this game. 3 for 4 and a grand slam homer that proved to be the difference in the ball game. Tonight he's hit the ball hard 3 times, but right at somebody. $14 runs, 17 hits, and an error. 6 left on base for Memphis. 4 runs, 8 hits, 2 errors. 8 left on base for Durham.
Well, you mentioned how enjoyable it is to have a couple days in a AAA city, and particularly here in Columbus. Beautiful ballpark, great hosts, and not the compelling game that we'd hope for in a championship game, but that's because the Memphis Redbirds put some good at-bats on all the Durham pitchers. And, of course, Memphis got a good effort from their starting pitchers. So looks like Stubby is finally going to get that win. He missed the top of the show. This is the 3rd time they've met in this winner-take-all game, and Durham's won the first 2.
3-0, that's in there for a strike. And it's been great working with all the folks here, our crew tonight, and of course Johnny Tyus and Jim Roller, our incomparable production crew, our producer and our director. The AAA championship story that we've been so much a part of in recent years. The PCL at this moment leads 7 wins to 5 on that list. There's a bloop into left. That'll drop for a base hit. So Kian Wong finally gets his first hit of the night. A base hit to left, and the leadoff hitter is on here in the 9th. Always a pleasure to work with our crews when we come to town for the Gildan National Championship game, and to be under the tutelage of Jim and Johnny, and this year's no different.
You see their left fielder a little trouble picking up the flight of the ball.
There's Joe McCarthy, who's had a tremendous postseason. Short-circuited a bit tonight. 2 hits and 2 strikeouts in his 4 at-bats, but very productive postseason for him. Got under it just a little bit. It's at a mile in the air. Hauling it in is Williams. And there's your first out of the 9th inning. You never did get a chance to play here in Columbus, but your experience in minor league baseball, we've always, every time we get together, you talk about it as, and you didn't spend that much time in the minors, but your time was special for you.
Well, you know, you're an innocent kid, and you're 18, and you take those 18-hour bus rides from Missoula to Boise. You say, hey, this is nothing wrong with this. That's what you expect. Conditions, of course, a lot better today. But, yeah, those minor league memories and, you know, the things you learn there and the experience, you know, I credit my dad. I had a chance to be what they call a bonus baby and sit on the big league bench for 2 years, and he opted and said, you're going to take less money and go to the minor leagues, learn how to play it right, and it's a valuable lesson.
And so many players were damaged by that bonus rule in your era.
You need that experience, not just playing, but, you know, the life, living away from home a lot for the first time and meeting new guys, different parts of the country. Can I compete against the big boys from the big cities? And you need that experience to build a foundation to be a big leaguer.
Ref Snyder hits one hard down to second. 4, 6. Yes, sirree, 3, and that'll do it. The celebration is on for the Memphis Redbirds. It's been a long and winding road, not just this year, but let's go back 12 months when they lost this championship game to Durham. This time, it is revenge. Jared Sandberg had the smile on his face last year. On this night, Stubby Clapp is the man who will lead with a smile. And you mentioned you learned so much from your dad. Those are 2 managers who on our talk said everything they learned about the game, they learned from their dads, Jared Sandberg and Stubby Clapp.
Well, the good thing for Jared Sandberg, it wasn't a painful loss. It was pretty apparent. And no home runs. And until this, not a double play. And well turned and a fitting in for the Memphis Redbirds.
And a night of offense. It ends on a twin 4-6-3 killing. And Memphis, who relied on their defense all year long in their offense, parlayed both of that for this win tonight. So the Memphis Redbirds will take home the championship, and we've got more to talk about here in Columbus. Trophy celebration and more. Memphis beats Durham 14-4. Here are the final numbers on the smiling scoreboard for the Memphis Redbirds, the PCL champions, and now the Gildan National Championship winner here in Columbus, Ohio at Huntington Park. 14-4 winner over the Durham Bulls. Durham still goes home after a 79-60 season, a win last year in this championship game, and a long road trip thanks to Hurricane Florence. They'll be heading home. That's the good news for these young men who played so well all season long. But out there in the middle of the field, that's a happy bunch right there, Jim.
Yeah,
Cobb.
I don't care what level you play at, George. There's always thrilling to win that last game, that championship game, because at the end of all these seasons, there's only one happy team. You know, the team that wins the last game, and Memphis did it.
Jim Callis is down there with a happy bunch of Memphis Redbirds with Branch Rickey, the president of the PCL, and ready to present the trophy, the winning trophy. 1 year later, but they're still smiling with the Memphis championship here tonight. Jim.
Hi, I'm here with Branch Rickey, president of Pacific Coast League, who's going to make the presentation of the championship trophy.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen.
For the home plate area for tonight's Gildan National Championship in Baseball America MVP trophy presentation.
Okay.
At this time, please welcome to the field J.J. Cooper from Baseball.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming out tonight to support this championship game. Tonight, 2 championship teams came in here. Let's hear a round of applause for the Durham Bulls, a true champion of the International League. Before we present the trophy, I want to say a word of thanks to you fans for coming out, and to the Columbus Clippers and to Ken Schnocky for putting on such a magnificent event, supporting AAA baseball, supporting minor league baseball. I'm going to call on Mr. Peter Freund. Nick, you're here on behalf of Gildan. Thank you for being here on behalf of our sponsor, Gildan. And Peter Freund, the owner of our Memphis club, is he right at hand? Here we are, Peter. Okay, I'm going to ask you to present this trophy to your manager, Stubby Clapp, and the players of the Memphis Redbirds.
Stubby, this is for all you guys. You guys work so hard all year long. This is well-deserved. This is your trophy. This is the team's trophy, and this is a trophy for the city of Memphis. Congratulations.
And now we have Baseball America editor J.J. Cooper to present the game's MVP award.
On behalf of Baseball America, I'm happy to award the MVP award to Alex Mejia.
What a night for Edmund Mejia. Kitty, 5 hits in a championship game. Last year we were heralding the efforts of Kean Wong, who had 3 for 4 in the Grand Slam. Mejia topped him with 5 hits tonight, and what an offensive night.
Yeah, and he used the whole field. Great at bats, hit all kinds of different pitches. That one low and away, took it up the middle, so well-deserved MVP for Alex Mejia.
So Mejia gets the MVP trophy, and 1 year later, this Memphis club can smile a lot as they take home the championship trophy in the Gildan 2018 National Championship victory. It is the Memphis Redbirds, the champions of AAA baseball. And Kitty, we talk about it. The bottom line is Last game of the year, you go home with a W. You get a chance to take a picture as they're doing right now. It's a special moment.
No feeling like it to win that last game, and well-deserved by the Memphis Redbirds.
Jim Callis, a special night for you, too. And I know for all of us, it's been very special. Number one. And guess what? Going home are the Durham Bulls, as they will celebrate at home, being back with their families, and the same thing with that Memphis group. They're looking forward to getting home and enjoying the offseason. Congratulations to the Memphis Redbirds, 14-4 over the Durham Bulls. For Jim Callis, this is George Grant. See you at the ballpark, everybody.